Hello guys, welcome to Scion What If. So in this video, we will see what if Goku arrived in My Hero Academia. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to show us some love by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's start the story. Chapter 1, Dimensional Collision. The sky tore open above Muzutafu's city with a crack like thunder. No one noticed at first. They were too busy running from the monster rampaging through the shopping district. Explosions rocked the area as heroes tried to contain the situation, but the villain, a man whose quirk had transformed him into a hulking beast with razor-sharp scales, wasn't going down easily. Izuku Midoriya ducked behind an overturned car with his classmates, his mind racing. That's Razorback. He's got a transformation quirk that enhances his strength and gives him those defensive scales. The news said even Backdraft couldn't get through them. We should help, Ochako whispered, peeking over the hood. Ida chopped his hand through the air. Absolutely not. We're students on a class trip. We need to evacuate with the civilians immediately. The argument died on their lips as the sky split wider. A blinding light poured through the rift, and someone, shot from it like a meteor, crashing into the pavement 50 feet from Razorback. The dust cleared, revealing a man in an orange GI, scratching his head and looking around with wide-eyed curiosity. Huh. This doesn't look like the hyperbolic time chamber. The spiky-haired stranger turned in a full circle. Hey, where am I? Did Whis mess up or something? Razorback snarled at the interruption and charged. Watch out! Deku shouted, preparing to activate One for All. The stranger finally noticed the approaching villain and smiled. Oh, hey there. You look pretty strong. Wanna fight? Razorback's response was a massive fist aimed directly at the newcomer's face. The stranger didn't even flinch. He caught the fist with one hand, stopping Razorback's charge instantly. Whoa, you're actually pretty weak. Are you sure you want to do this? The students watched in shock as Razorback roared and swung his other arm. The man dodged effortlessly, moving so fast he seemed to disappear and reappear behind the villain. Sorry, but I need to figure out where I am. Mind taking a quick nap? The stranger tapped Razorback lightly on the back of the head, and the villain, who had been tossing pro-heroes around like rag dolls moments earlier, crumpled unconscious to the ground. Deku's jaw dropped. Did he just take down a villain that's been terrorizing the district for hours with a tap? Todoroki finished, his usual stoic expression betraying a hint of awe. The stranger stretched and looked around, finally noticing the stunned students. His face broke into a friendly grin. Hey there. I'm Son Goku. Can any of you tell me where I am? Before anyone could answer, Bakugo burst from behind the car. What the hell was that? What's your quirk? Goku tilted his head. Quirk? What's that? Don't play dumb. Bakugo shouted, small explosions popping from his palms. No one takes down a villain that easily without a powerful quirk. Oh, you mean like special abilities? Goku laughed. I don't have anything like that. I'm just really strong from training. Deku stepped forward, his analytical mind racing. But you moved faster than the eye could see. And that light in the sky before you appeared. Their conversation was cut short as police cars and more heroes arrived on the scene. Death Arms approached cautiously, eyeing the unconscious villain and the stranger in the orange GI. Sir, I'm going to need you to identify yourself and explain what happened here. Goku smiled brightly. I'm Goku. And honestly, I'm not sure what happened. 1 second I was training with Vegeta, then there was this weird pull, and now I'm here. He looked around. Where is here, exactly? You're in Muzutafu, Japan, Death Arms said, growing more suspicious. Japan? Earth? Huh, it looks different from the Earth I know. Goku scratched his head again. Death Arms narrowed his eyes. Sir, Are you registered as a pro hero? A hero? Nah, I'm a martial artist. Though my son Gohan calls me a hero sometimes. Goku laughed. Then you've just committed illegal quirk use in public. Death Arms reached for his restraints. Wait. Deku stepped forward. He just saved everyone from Razorback. And I don't think he's from here. Yeah. Ochako added. He came from that light in the sky. Death Arms hesitated, then spoke into his radio. This situation was clearly beyond standard protocol. Within minutes, more heroes arrived, including Present Mike and Midnight, who had been chaperoning the 1A students on their trip. What's up, listeners? Present Mike shouted. What's going on here? This guy fell from the sky and knocked out Razorback with one hit. Kaminari explained excitedly. Midnight approached Goku. Sir, we're going to need you to come with us to UA for questioning. UA? Is that a restaurant? I'm starving. Goku patted his stomach. It's a hero school, Deku explained. The best in Japan. A school for heroes? Goku's eyes lit up. Like where they teach fighting? That sounds awesome. Among other things, Midnight said carefully. Will you come voluntarily? Goku nodded enthusiastically. Sure. Maybe someone there can help me figure out how I got here and how to get back. Plus, I'd love to see what kind of training you heroes do. As they escorted Goku toward UA, the students of Class 1A couldn't help but follow, buzzing with questions and theories. Deku particularly couldn't take his eyes off the strange visitor who had defeated a villain with casual ease that surpassed even All Might's usual displays. Who do you think he is? Uraraka whispered to Deku. I don't know, Deku replied, his mind racing. But he doesn't seem to know what quirks are. And did you see how he moved? It wasn't like any quirk I've ever studied. He's obviously lying, Bakugo growled. No one's that strong without a quirk. Deku glanced at Bakugo, thinking of All Might's secret. Maybe there's more to strength than just quirks. Principal Nizu sat across from Goku in UA's conference room, tail swishing thoughtfully. All Might stood nearby in his power-down form, along with Aizawa, Present Mike, and Midnight. So, Mr. Sun, Nizu began, you claim to have no knowledge of quirks, yet you displayed abilities far beyond normal human capacity. Goku, who had been staring in fascination at the talking animal principal, nodded. Yeah, where I come from, people don't have these quirk things. Some aliens have special abilities, and there's magic and stuff, but humans mostly just train to get stronger. Aliens? Aizawa raised an eyebrow. Yeah. Like my friend Piccolo, he's an Namekian. And there's Jocko, he's a galactic patrolman. Oh, and Beerus is a god of destruction, but I guess he's not really an alien. Goku counted on his fingers. The teachers exchanged glances. Mr. Sun, All Might spoke up, what exactly happened before you arrived here? Goku's face turned more serious. I was training with Vegeta. Then there was this weird feeling, like being pulled through something tight. Next thing I knew, I was falling from the sky and landed in your city. Could it have been a warp quirk? Present Mike suggested. Nizu tapped his paw on the table. Possibly, but interdimensional transportation would be beyond any quirk we've documented. Dimension? Goku perked up. You think I'm from another dimension? That would explain why everything feels a bit off. The key in this world is different. Key? All Might asked. Goku held out his hand and, to everyone's shock, a ball of glowing energy formed above his palm. Key. Life energy. Everyone has it where I'm from. With training, you can control it, enhance your strength, speed, fly, stuff like that. The teachers stared at the glowing orb. It wasn't like any emitter quirk they'd seen, there was no special body part activating, no visible strain. Interesting, Nizu murmured. Mr. Son, would you mind demonstrating more of this, Ki? Sure. Goku stood eagerly. We should probably go outside though. I don't want to break anything. On Yue's training ground, Goku stretched while the teachers watched from a safe distance. Class 1A had somehow managed to convince Aizawa to let them observe, and they clustered excitedly at the edge of the field. Okay, Goku called. I'll start small. He took a stance and focused. The air around him began to shimmer, and small rocks lifted from the ground. Then, with a flash of white energy, Goku shot into the air, flying circles around the field at breathtaking speed. He's flying. Deku gasped, frantically taking notes. No wings, no visible propulsion system, it's not like Uraraka's zero-gravity or jet propulsion quirks. Goku landed lightly, then cupped his hands at his side. This is a basic ki blast. Kamehameha. A beam of blue-white energy erupted from his hands, shooting high into the sky before Goku redirected it harmlessly into space. The students and teachers stared in stunned silence. That wasn't a quirk, Aizawa finally said. I tried to erase it. Nothing happened. All Might stepped forward, a gleam in his sunken eyes. Mr. Sun. Goku. How much control do you have over this power? Goku grinned. Complete control. Well, except when I go Ultra Instinct, but I'm getting better at that. And you say this is something anyone can learn? Sure. It takes a lot of training though. My son Gohan started learning when he was 4, but he's really talented. Nizu hopped forward. Mr. Sun, while we investigate how you arrived here and how to return you home, would you consider staying at UA? Your abilities are extraordinary, and if they're truly trainable. You want me to teach? Goku scratched his head. I'm not really good at the whole teaching thing. But I guess I could show some basics while I'm here. Bakugo pushed past his classmates. Fight me first. I want to see how I stack up. Goku's eyes lit up. You want to spar? Awesome. I love fighting strong opponents. Young Bakugo, I don't think, All Might began. Let them, Aizawa interrupted. It might be educational. Bakugo strutted onto the field, explosions crackling in his palms. Don't hold back, or I'll kill you. Goku took a relaxed stance. I'll definitely have to hold back, but I'll make it fun. Bakugo launched himself forward with an explosion, swinging a right hook enhanced by a detonation. Die. Goku sidestepped effortlessly. You telegraph your moves too much. Try this. Before Bakugo could react, Goku tapped him lightly on the shoulder, so lightly it shouldn't have affected him at all. Yet Bakugo found himself flying 20 feet before tumbling across the ground. He jumped up, furious. What the hell was that? Ki control, Goku explained cheerfully. It's not just about strength, it's about focusing energy exactly where you need it. Bakugo roared and unleashed his howitzer impact. The massive explosion engulfed Goku's position, and for a moment, everyone held their breath. When the smoke cleared, Goku stood unharmed, not even his GI singed. That's a cool technique. Goku said enthusiastically. But you're putting too much energy into the explosion and not enough into protecting yourself. Watch this. Goku held up one finger and generated a tiny ball of ki at the tip. It's not about how big the attack is, it's about how you focus the energy. He flicked the tiny ball at a boulder, which exploded into dust. Bakugo stared, for once speechless. That's enough, Aizawa called. Bakugo, go back with your classmates. The explosive student clenched his fists but obeyed, mind clearly racing with what he'd just experienced. Nizu turned to Goku. I believe we have much to learn from each other, Mr. Sun. In a dimly lit workshop across the city, a thin man with half-white, half-black hair stared at screens displaying the energy readings from earlier that day. Shiro Kuro had been a support equipment designer, developing tech to enhance quirks, until an accident 3 months ago had changed everything. His dimensional manipulation quirk had activated unexpectedly during an experiment, and since then, he'd been obsessed with the possibilities. Today's readings confirmed what he'd suspected: his random dimensional tear had brought something extraordinary through. Cross-dimensional energy transfer, he murmured, watching footage he'd hacked from city cameras. The man in orange generating energy unlike anything in their world. Shiro touched the device implanted in his chest, the regulator that kept his quirk from tearing him apart. His fingers traced the line where his skin changed from pure white to absolute black, a physical manifestation of his ability to exist between realities. "You're the proof," he whispered to the image of Goku. "Proof that we're not bound by this world's rules." He turned to his workbench, where components for a larger version of his dimensional gateway were spread out. With the new data from today's incident, he could refine his calculations, create a more stable portal. "They call quirks gifts," Shiro said to himself, "but they're really chains, binding us to this reality's limitations." He picked up a small container holding glowing particles, energy he'd managed to harvest from previous, smaller tiers in spacetime. They pulsed with power, resonating with the new energy signature from today's incident. Soon, he promised, injecting the particles into his regulator. His body shuddered as the foreign energy merged with his own, causing the black and white division of his skin to shimmer momentarily. Outside his workshop, a small crack appeared in the air, spitting sparks before sealing itself. Shiro smiled. He was getting closer. The next morning found Goku in UA's cafeteria, surrounded by empty plates and stunned students. "That's your 20th bowl," Kirishima exclaimed. "Your stomach must be your real quirk." Goku laughed, mouth still full of rice. "Scions have big appetites. Fighting burns a lot of energy." "Scions?" Deku asked, notebook ready. "Oh, that's what I am. I look human, but I'm actually from a warrior race called Scions. Found that out when I was an adult." Before Deku could bombard him with more questions, All Might arrived in his powered-down form. "Mr. Sun, Principal Nizu would like to see you." Goku swallowed his last bite. "Great. Is he gonna help me get home?" "Among other things," All Might said mysteriously. In Nizu's office, Goku found not just the principal but also a government official in a sharp suit. "Mr. Sun," the man began stiffly, "I represent the Public Safety Commission. Your arrival has caused quite a stir. An individual of your power level operating outside our licensing system poses significant concerns." Goku looked confused. "I'm not looking to cause trouble. I just want to find a way home." Nizu raised a paw. "Which is why I've proposed a solution. While we investigate the dimensional disturbance, Mr. Sun will remain at UA as a special combat instructor. This gives him official standing while we work on the problem." "Combat instructor?" Goku perked up. "You demonstrated yesterday that your key techniques could be valuable training for our students," Nizu explained. "Particularly since these abilities might offer new approaches for heroes facing quirk cancellation situations." The government official frowned. "We'd need extensive monitoring and restrictions. I'll personally supervise," All Might interjected. "As a former symbol of peace, I believe I'm qualified to oversee someone of Mr. Sun's capabilities." The mention of All Might's former title seemed to sway the official. After more discussion of legalities and limitations, they reached an agreement. Goku would stay at UA, teaching special combat classes while scientists studied the dimensional phenomena. "So I just have to teach kids to fight while you guys figure out how to get me home?" Goku summarized. "That sounds fun. There's one more thing," Nizu added. "Our support department detected several smaller dimensional fluctuations across the city since your arrival. We believe whoever or whatever caused the rift that brought you here might be continuing their activities." Goku's expression grew more serious. "That could be bad. In my experience, messing with dimensions usually leads to trouble. Which is why having you here might be fortunate," All Might said. Your experience with these matters could prove invaluable. I'll help however I can, Goku promised. But fair warning, I'm better at punching problems than solving them. Sometimes, Nizu said with a cryptic smile, the direct approach is exactly what's needed. Class 1A stood in their gym uniforms on training ground Beta, whispering excitedly as Aizawa introduced their special training session. For the next few weeks, you'll have supplementary combat training with a guest instructor. Aizawa looked like he still hadn't decided how he felt about this arrangement. This training falls outside standard heroics curriculum but has been approved by the principal. Goku stepped forward, now wearing a UA tracksuit since his GI was being cleaned. Hey everyone. I'm Goku. We're gonna work on bringing out your ki. Our what? Zero raised his hand. Ki, your life energy. Goku made a small ball of energy appear in his hand. Everyone has it, you just need to learn to access it. Bakugo scoffed. Why should we learn this when we already have quirks? Good question. Goku pointed at him. You're the explosion kid from yesterday, right? Your quirk is amazing, but what happens if you run into someone who can nullify quirks? The class fell silent, many glancing at Aizawa, whose erasure quirk did exactly that. Ki comes from within you, Goku continued. It's not a quirk, so it can't be erased the same way. Plus, learning to control your energy will help you use your quirks more efficiently. Deku's hand shot up. But how do we start? Is there special equipment or techniques? We'll start with the basics, feeling your energy. Goku sat cross-legged on the ground. Everyone sit down and cup your hands like this. The students followed his example, though some, particularly Bakugo, looked skeptical. Now, close your eyes and focus on the center of your body. Feel the warmth there. That's your energy, your ki. Try to draw it out between your hands. For several minutes, nothing happened. Students peeked at each other, some giggling nervously. This is stupid, Bakugo muttered. It took me years to master this, Goku encouraged them. Don't expect results right away. But I can feel that you all have strong energy, especially you, he pointed at Deku, and you, he pointed at Todoroki, and definitely you, he finished, pointing at Bakugo. Deku concentrated harder, thinking about one for all flowing through him. To his shock, he felt a warmth between his palms different from his quirk, more natural, less lightning-like. I feel something, he gasped. Me too, Uraraka said, eyes wide. Aizawa watched with narrow eyes as several students began to sense their ki. His logical mind was already cataloging the potential applications and risks. All Might observed from the entrance to the training ground, a mixture of hope and concern on his gaunt face. If Midoriya could learn to channel this ki in addition to One for All, it might help him master his quirk faster, but it also raised questions about how these different energies might interact. Next, Goku said, standing up, we're going to work on physical conditioning. From what I've seen, most of you rely too much on your quirks and not enough on your base strength. What's wrong with using our quirks? Ashido asked. That's what makes us heroes. Goku smiled. Nothing's wrong with it. But what makes a technique truly powerful isn't the flashy stuff, it's the foundation underneath. Before I learned to use ki blasts, I spent years just building my strength and speed. He demonstrated a series of strikes and kicks that moved almost too fast to see. No energy enhancement there, just good old-fashioned training. Now, partner up. We're going to work on basic forms. As the students paired off, Goku walked among them, making adjustments to stances and offering encouragement. He stopped by Deku, who was partnered with Ida. You're thinking too much, Goku observed. Your body already knows how to move, you just need to trust it. But I need to control my quirk, Deku said anxiously. If I don't think about it, I might hurt someone. Goku put a hand on his shoulder. That's because you're treating your power as something separate from yourself. It's not, it's part of you. The more you fight it, the harder it'll be to control. Deku stared at him, reminded suddenly of All Might's early advice. Across the training ground, Bakugo was executing the forms with perfect precision but obvious frustration. Goku approached him next. "You're good," Goku observed. "Really good. But you're trying to force everything." "That's how I fight," Bakugo growled. "Fighting isn't just about force. It's about flow." Goku demonstrated a sequence that turned Bakugo's aggressive movements into something more circular, redirecting energy rather than just expending it. Surprisingly, Bakugo tried it, his competitive nature overriding his initial rejection of Goku's methods. "Not bad." Goku grinned. "You're a natural." For the first time, Bakugo didn't respond with anger to the praise, just focused more intently on mastering the movement. By the end of the session, the students were exhausted but buzzing with excitement. None had manifested visible ki yet, but several reported feeling something different in their training, a new awareness of their body's energy. "We'll build on this tomorrow," Goku promised. "Don't worry if it feels slow at first. The most important battles are the ones inside yourself." As the students headed for the showers, All Might approached Goku. "You're a better teacher than you claimed, son Goku." Goku laughed. "Nah, they're just good students. Reminds me of when Gohan was learning." All Might coughed into his hand. "There's something I wanted to discuss with you. Privately." In a secluded training room, All Might transformed into his muscled hero form. "Ha! What do you think? Impressive, right?" he boomed. Goku circled him, fascinated. "That's a neat technique. Your power level just shot way up. It's kind of like when I transform, except my hair changes color." All Might deflated back to his skinny form, coughing. "It's not exactly a technique. It's the last embers of my quirk, one for all." He explained his situation, the injury, passing one for all to Midoriya, his dwindling time limit. Goku listened with uncharacteristic seriousness. "So you're getting weaker while your student gets stronger. That's gotta be tough." "Young Midoriya is struggling to control his power," All Might said. "I've taught him all I can, but I never had the same problem. One for all came to me at full strength, but my body was ready for it. His isn't. And you think ki training might help him?" All Might nodded. "I noticed something during your session today. When Midoriya was focusing on ki, his body relaxed. One for all is similar to your ki in some ways, it's energy that flows through the body. If he could learn to channel energy naturally, it might help him handle his quirk better," Goku finished, understanding. "I can work with him specially." "There's more," All Might admitted. "I wondered if your ki techniques might help me as well. Not to regain one for all, but perhaps to strengthen what remains of my natural body." Goku studied the skinny man thoughtfully. "Your body's pretty damaged, but ki can do amazing things. It's worth a try." He placed a hand on All Might's chest, closing his eyes in concentration. "Your energy's all twisted up around here, probably from that injury. But there's still good flow elsewhere." All Might looked hopeful. "Can it be improved?" "Definitely. It won't make you Super Saiyan or anything, but you might get some strength back. We'll work on it while I'm here." All Might bowed deeply. "Thank you, son Goku. I've been the world's symbol of peace for so long, the thought of becoming completely powerless is difficult to accept." Goku clapped him on the back, nearly sending the skinny man flying. "Oops, sorry. But don't worry about being powerless. My friend Krillin is the strongest human I know, and he can't even destroy a planet." All Might blinked. "Destroy a planet?" Goku rubbed the back of his head. "Ah, maybe that's not the best comparison. Anyway, let's get started on your training right away." Shiro Kuro watched the feeds from the tiny drones he'd planted around UA. The technology wasn't his, he'd stolen it from the support company that had fired him after his accident, but he'd modified it with his growing understanding of cross-dimensional properties, making the drones nearly undetectable. He focused on the footage of Goku training the students. Ki energy, he murmured. Life force that exists independently of quirks. His hand drifted to the regulator in his chest, which pulsed with the dimensional particles he'd injected earlier. Each time he added more, his control over his quirk improved. The white and black division on his skin had begun to shift and swirl rather than remaining a static line. A small dimensional rift opened beside him, and he reached through carefully, pulling out a strange fruit that glowed with unearthly energy. He discovered he could open tiny portals to specific dimensions by focusing on energy signatures. Nothing large could pass through yet, but objects could. He bit into the fruit, gasping as the energy flowed into him. His quirk responded, opening several small rifts around his workshop. Through them, he glimpsed other worlds, some similar to his own, others wildly different. One showed a red sky with floating islands. Another revealed a city much like Muzutafu but with subtle differences. The rifts closed as he finished the fruit. Shiro smiled, noting how the black and white sections of his skin now swirled more actively. Soon, he promised himself. Soon I'll understand how this Goku harnesses ki. And when I combine that with my dimensional manipulation. On his workbench lay plans for a larger device, one that would allow him to open stable portals between dimensions. The components were mostly assembled, but the power source remained the challenge. He needed more dimensional energy, much more. Shiro turned to another monitor showing energy readings from across the city. Several locations showed spikes consistent with dimensional fluctuations. They're increasing in frequency, he noted. The barriers are getting thinner. He picked up a specially designed containment unit. Time to harvest. Deku sat cross-legged in his dorm room that night, trying to recreate the feeling he'd experienced during Goku's training session. The warmth between his palms, different from One for All's crackling energy. A knock at his door broke his concentration. "Come in," he called. All Might entered, closing the door behind him. "Working on your ki training, young Midoriya?" Deku nodded eagerly. "It's fascinating. It feels different from One for All, calmer somehow. Do you think they're connected?" All Might sat on the edge of the bed. "That's actually why I'm here. Son Goku and I had a discussion. We believe ki training might help you master One for All more quickly." Deku's eyes widened. "Really? One for All is energy passed from holder to holder. Ki, as Goku describes it, is energy that exists naturally in every living being. Learning to control one might help with the other." "That makes sense." Deku jumped up excitedly. "If I can understand how energy naturally flows through my body, I might be able to channel One for All more effectively." All Might smiled at his enthusiasm. "Goku has agreed to give you some extra training. He's quite remarkable. His understanding of energy control goes beyond anything I've encountered." Deku sat back down, suddenly thoughtful. "All Might. Goku mentioned he's from another dimension. Do you really believe that? After what I've seen him do?" "Yes." All Might coughed into his handkerchief. "The support department has confirmed unusual energy signatures consistent with dimensional disruption. And his powers." He shook his head. "They're beyond any quirk I've ever witnessed. But if he's from another dimension, who or what brought him here? And why?" Questions we're working to answer. There have been reports of strange energy fluctuations across the city since his arrival. Nizu has asked the pro-heroes to investigate. Deku's mind raced with possibilities. Could someone with a warp quirk be responsible? Or maybe a quirk that manipulates space-time? Perhaps. All Might stood. "For now, focus on your training. If Son Goku can teach you to better control One for All, that's our priority." After All Might left, Deku couldn't sleep. He pulled out his hero analysis notebook, starting a new page titled, Ki Energy vs. Quirks. As he wrote, comparing what he knew about One for All to Goku's descriptions of Ki, a pattern began to emerge. They're both energies that can be transferred and built upon, he murmured. But Ki seems more universal. He thought about how Recovery Girl's quirk healed by accelerating the body's natural healing process. How 13's black holes seemed to manipulate gravitational forces. How even Kaken's explosions required the right combination of chemical reactions. What if all quirks are just specialized ways of manipulating the same fundamental energies, he wondered aloud. And what if Ki is a more basic form of that energy? The implications were staggering. If Ki truly existed in everyone, then even those without quirks might have untapped potential. And for those with quirks, mastering Ki could enhance their natural abilities in ways they hadn't imagined. Deku finally fell asleep with his notebook still open, dreaming of energy flowing through his body like gentle rivers instead of the lightning storm of One for All. The next morning, Goku sat in UA's cafeteria with All Might, Recovery Girl, and Principal Nizu, demolishing another massive breakfast. The energy readings are concerning, Nizu was saying, pushing a tablet displaying a map of Muzutafu with glowing dots marking dimensional anomalies. They've increased by 47% overnight. Recovery Girl peered at the data. Any reports of injuries from these anomalies? Not yet, All Might said. But we've had reports of strange objects appearing, plants, small animals, even weather phenomena not native to our region. Goku swallowed a mouthful of rice. Yeah, that sounds like dimensional leakage. Happened once when Bulma was messing with some tech from another timeline. Started with small stuff, then got bigger. How was it resolved? Nizu asked. Bulma figured out how to reverse the polarity of the something technical. Goku scratched his head. Fighting's more my thing than science. Our support department is working on detecting the source of the disruptions, Nizu said. But they're hampered by the unusual energy signatures. Nothing in our databases matches what we're seeing. I could try sensing the energy myself, Goku offered. Ki sense works across dimensions, that's how I found my way to Otherworld that time I was dead. The three educators stared at him. You were dead? Recovery Girl finally asked. Oh, yeah, a couple times. Goku said casually. It's not so bad. Anyway, if I concentrate, I might be able to locate where the dimensional energies are strongest. Nizu recovered first. That would be extremely helpful, Mr. Sun. Great. I'll do it after today's training session. Speaking of which, I should head over. I promised the kids we'd work on energy projection today. As Goku bounded off, Recovery Girl turned to Nizu. Are we certain it's wise to let him train the students? His casual mention of death is concerning. I've been spending time with him, All Might said. Despite his unusual perspective, Son Goku has a genuine desire to help. And his understanding of energy control could be revolutionary for our students. Nizu's tail swished thoughtfully. We'll continue monitoring, but I agree with All Might. In these uncertain times, having someone of Goku's capabilities as an ally may prove invaluable. Class 1A gathered on the training ground, many looking tired but determined after practicing their ki sensing overnight. All right. Goku clapped his hands. Today we're moving on to physical application of ki. Who managed to feel their energy yesterday? About half the class raised their hands, including Deku, Todoroki, Uraraka, and surprisingly, Bakugo. Great! For those who haven't felt it yet, keep practicing the meditation. For those who have, we're going to try channeling that energy into your movements. Goku demonstrated a simple palm strike that carried visible energy. Ki enhancement can make even basic attacks much stronger. It's not just about adding power, it's about efficiency. He paired them up again, instructing them to practice strikes while focusing their energy into their movements. As they worked, Goku moved among them, offering guidance. He stopped beside Todoroki, who was struggling to find the balance between his quirk and the new energy. Your quirk already channels energy through your body, Goku observed. Try separating them in your mind. Think of your fire and ice as extensions, but ki as your foundation. Todoroki nodded, attempting another strike. This time, instead of fire or ice appearing, a faint white glow surrounded his hand. I felt that, Ojiro, his partner, confirmed with surprise. It was different from your quirk, more like a pressure wave. Todoroki stared at his hand. It felt cleaner somehow. Less taxing. Across the training ground, Bakugo was becoming visibly frustrated as Kirishima blocked his enhanced strikes. You're still relying too much on your explosions, Goku advised, approaching them. Try this, throw a punch without your quirk, but channel ki into it at the moment of impact. Bakugo scowled but complied. His fist connected with Kirishima's hardened arm, and to everyone's surprise, Kirishima slid back several feet. Whoa! Kirishima's eyes widened. That felt different from your explosions, more like a solid impact than a blast. Bakugo stared at his hand. It didn't feel like I was using as much energy. That's the point. Goku said cheerfully. Efficiency. Your quirk is awesome but burns through your stamina. Ki enhancement gives you options. Deku, meanwhile, was working with Ida. When it came his turn to strike, he focused on the warm energy he'd felt during meditation, trying to channel it through his arm without activating one for all. To his shock, his palm strike sent Ida skidding backward despite using minimal physical force. Midoriya. Ida adjusted his glasses, which had been knocked askew. That was remarkable. Did you use your quirk? No, Deku said, staring at his hand in wonder. It was just ki. Goku appeared beside him, grinning broadly. See? Your body already knows how to channel energy, you just need to give it the right instructions. By the end of the session, several students had managed basic ki enhancement. Exhausted but excited, they gathered around Goku for final instructions. Keep practicing the sensing exercise, he told them. The more aware you are of your energy, the easier it'll be to control. Tomorrow we'll work on, he stopped suddenly, head snapping toward the city. His expression turned serious. Goku-sensei? Deku asked, concerned. There's a strong energy fluctuation happening right now, Goku said, focusing intently. Much bigger than the others. Someone's channeling dimensional energy deliberately. Aizawa stepped forward. Where? Goku pointed toward the industrial district. That way, about 5 miles. Aizawa activated his comm device. This is Eraserhead. We need pro-heroes to investigate a dimensional anomaly in the industrial district, coordinates to follow. I should check it out, Goku said. If it's connected to how I got here, I'll accompany you, Aizawa interrupted. Students, return to your dorms immediately. As the class reluctantly dispersed, Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki exchanged looks. They'd been through enough together to recognize when something serious was happening. We're not actually going back to the dorms, are we? Kirishima whispered to them. Bakugo's answering grin was all the confirmation they needed. Shiro Kuro adjusted the settings on his harvesting device as the dimensional rift pulsed before him. Unlike his previous small portals, this one was nearly 2 meters across, suspended in the middle of an abandoned warehouse in the industrial district. Through the rift, he could see a rocky landscape under a green sky, another Earth, but different. Energy particles flowed from the rift into his containment unit, which was already half full with swirling, multicolored light. Magnificent, Shiro breathed, the black and white patterns on his skin rippling with excitement. The dividing line between colors now moved fluidly across his body, never staying in one place for long. His monitoring equipment beeped a warning, the rift was becoming unstable. Reluctantly, he began the shutdown sequence, but before he could complete it, the warehouse door burst open. Eraserhead and Midnight stood in the doorway, along with a figure Shiro recognized immediately from his surveillance, Son Goku. Step away from the equipment, Eraserhead ordered, his capture weapon ready. Shiro raised his hands slowly, mind racing. He hadn't expected to be discovered so soon. You don't understand what you're interfering with. I understand plenty, Eraserhead replied. You're causing dimensional disruptions across the city. Shut it down. Now. Shiro's eyes fixed on Goku. You're the one who came through my first portal. The key user. Goku stepped forward, studying the rift with unusual seriousness. This is dangerous stuff you're playing with. Trust me, messing with dimensions never ends well. I'm not playing, Shiro snapped. I'm evolving. Breaking the arbitrary boundaries between realities. The rift pulsed again, growing larger. Objects from the other side, small rocks, dust, even what looked like a small lizard-like creature, began falling through. It's destabilizing, Shiro warned, genuine concern in his voice. Let me shut it down properly, or it could expand uncontrollably. Eraserhead nodded curtly, and Shiro turned back to his equipment. Instead of shutting down the rift, however, he slammed his hand onto a different control. The harvesting device surged, drawing massive amounts of energy from the rift directly into the regulator implanted in his chest. Shiro's body convulsed as dimensional energy flooded his system. The black and white patterns on his skin began shifting rapidly, sometimes revealing glimpses of other textures and colors beneath, as if his body was cycling through different realities. Stop him! Midnight shouted, releasing her quirk soporific mist. Shiro laughed as the mist approached him, then simply shifted. The mist passed through the space where he stood, but he appeared unaffected, as if partially out of phase with their reality. My quirk was always weak, he explained, voice resonating strangely. Dimensional viewing, I could glimpse other realities but never interact with them. Until the accident rewrote my DNA. He gestured, and a small rift opened beside him. He reached through and pulled out what looked like a futuristic weapon. Now I can do so much more. Before he could use the weapon, Goku moved, faster than anyone could follow, and snatched it from his hands. Neat trick, Goku said, examining the device before crushing it effortlessly. But you're making a mistake. Dimensional energy is unstable. It'll tear you apart from the inside. Only if you lack control, Shiro replied. Something I'm rapidly gaining. The main rift pulsed violently, expanding again. The warehouse began to shake as reality strained around the tear. Enough talk, Eraserhead said, his eyes glowing red as he activated his quirk on Shiro. Nothing happened. Your erasure targets quirk factors, Shiro explained with a smile. But I've moved beyond mere quirks. I'm channeling energy from across dimensions now. He raised his hand, and several small rifts opened around the heroes. Strange energy bolts shot from the rifts, forcing them to dodge. We need to close that main portal. Midnight shouted over the increasing roar of the rift. Goku nodded, stepping forward. I might be able to disrupt it with a key blast, but I'd have to be careful not to make it worse. Do it, Eraserhead ordered, ducking another energy bolt. Goku cupped his hands at his side, blue energy gathering between them. Ka. Me. No. Shiro cried, realizing what was happening. He lunged for his equipment, but Midnight intercepted him. Ha. Me. The rift pulsed violently, now nearly filling one wall of the warehouse. Wind howled through it, pulling loose objects toward the tear in reality. Hiya! Goku's energy beam struck the edge of the rift, carefully avoiding the center. The dimensional tear shuddered, its edges beginning to contract as the key energy disrupted its stability. Shiro screamed in frustration, then suddenly thrust his hand into one of his smaller rifts, pulling out a glowing crystal. This isn't over, he shouted, then slammed the crystal into his chest regulator. Energy exploded outward, knocking everyone back. When they looked up, Shiro was gone, but so was the main rift, collapsed by Goku's attack. Did he escape? Midnight asked, getting to her feet. I think he jumped dimensions, Goku said, dusting himself off. I felt his energy signature vanish completely, not just move away. Eraserhead surveyed the abandoned equipment. We need to get this to UA for analysis. If he can jump between dimensions at will, then he could come back anytime, anywhere, Goku finished grimly. And probably stronger than before. As they secured the scene, none of them noticed the 4 students watching from a nearby rooftop. Did you see that? Deku whispered, scribbling frantically in his notebook. The way Goku's energy beam interacted with the dimensional rift. Forget that, Bakugo growled. Did you see how that freak with the black and white skin was unaffected by Aizawa-sensei's quirk? What the hell was that? He said he's moved beyond quirks, Todoroki said quietly. Using energy from other dimensions. Kirishima shuddered. That's both super manly and super scary. Deku looked thoughtful. If dimensional energy can exist outside our normal rules, and if Goku's ki comes from another dimension but can be used here. Spit it out, Deku, Bakugo snapped. It means the limitations we think we have might not be real, Deku said slowly. If we can learn to use ki the way Goku does, maybe the barriers between quirks and other energies aren't as solid as we thought. The 4 students watched as the pros loaded Shiro's equipment into a UA transport vehicle. None of them could shake the feeling that something fundamental had changed, not just for the stranger who had arrived from another dimension, but for their understanding of their own world as well. Back at UA, in a secure lab, Power Loader examined the dimensional equipment they'd confiscated from the warehouse. Goku stood nearby with Nizu, All Might, and Aizawa. Fascinating design, Power Loader. Murmured. The core technology seems to be this. He pointed to a circular device with intricate patterns. It's generating oscillations that temporarily weaken the barriers between dimensions. Can you tell where this Shiro Kuro went? Nizu asked. Power Loader shook his head. Without the controller he took with him, no. But I can tell you he's been harvesting energy from multiple dimensions. These containment units are designed to store what he called dimensional particles. Goku peered at the equipment. In my world, we've dealt with other dimensions before. Usually leads to really strong bad guys showing up. You believe Shiro Kuro will return? Aizawa asked. Definitely. Guys obsessed with power always do. Goku stretched. But that's fine. I love fighting strong opponents. The educators exchanged concerned glances. We should prepare the students, All Might said. If Shiro can move between dimensions and is immune to quirk erasure, traditional hero tactics may be ineffective. Nizu nodded thoughtfully. Which makes Son Goku's training all the more valuable. If ki energy can affect these dimensional anomalies, perhaps it's our best defense. I'll step up the training, Goku offered. Some of your students are already showing real talent. That Midoriya kid especially, he's got huge potential. All Might coughed to hide his reaction. Yes, young Midoriya has always shown promise. In the meantime, Aizawa said, we should increase security around the school. If Shiro returns looking for Goku, he'll find me ready. Goku punched his palm excitedly. Maybe he'll be a good fight. Aizawa sighed. Your enthusiasm for battle is concerning. Ah, don't worry. I won't let anyone hurt your students. Where I come from, we protect the people we care about. Goku's usual carefree expression turned serious for a moment. No matter what. As they continued discussing security measures, Goku felt a familiar sensation, the slight resistance in the air that indicated dimensional instability. He didn't mention it to the others yet, but he could tell, the barriers between worlds were continuing to weaken. Whether Shiro Kuro was causing it or merely taking advantage, one thing was becoming clear, this problem wouldn't be solved by simply finding a way to send Goku home. Something bigger was happening. And if his past adventures had taught him anything, it was that dimensional disturbances usually meant one thing, a threat greater than anything this world had faced before was coming. But as he watched the educators planning, saw the determination in their eyes, Goku smiled. This world had its own kind of strength. Its own heroes. And now, they would have key training too. Whatever was coming, they would face it together. Chapter 2, Power recognized Izuku Midoriya hovered 3 inches off the ground, sweat pouring down his face, entire body trembling with effort. 2 weeks of intensive key training had produced results no one expected, especially not this quickly. That's it, Deku. Goku circled around him, grinning from ear to ear. You're getting it. Now try moving forward. Deku gritted his teeth, focusing on shifting his energy. He managed to drift forward a few inches before dropping back to the ground with a gasp. Man, that was awesome. Goku clapped him on the back, nearly sending him face first into the dirt. Sorry. Still not used to how fragile you guys are. But seriously, learning flight in just 2 weeks. That took me years. It's, not really, flight yet, Deku panted, hands on his knees. But it will be. Goku bounced on his toes. Your control is amazing. Must be all that practice managing your quirk. Across UA's training ground, other Class 1A students worked on their own key techniques. Some had progressed faster than others. Todoroki had managed to create a small key ball between his palms. Uraraka found that key control enhanced her zero-gravity quirk, allowing finer manipulation. Even Mineta had discovered that combining ki with his sticky balls made them bounce with controlled precision. The biggest surprise was Bakugo. Hiya! The explosive student thrust his palm forward, releasing a focused blast of energy that scorched the training dummy. It wasn't just his explosion quirk, the attack had the distinctive blue-white glow of ki enhancement. Bakugo's progress is incredible, Deku murmured, watching his childhood friend/rival. It's like he was made for this. Goku nodded. He reminds me of Vegeta, total battle genius with a massive chip on his shoulder. Once guys like that get a taste for a new kind of power, they're all in. The comparison to whoever Vegeta was seemed to please Bakugo, who had overheard. He smirked and blasted another dummy with even greater force. After Goku dismissed the regular class, he gestured for Deku to stay behind. All Might told me you've been having trouble with your quirk. One for all, right? Deku's eyes widened. He told you about the inherited power thing? Yeah. We've been training together too. Goku stretched casually. He's making progress, by the way. His base strength is coming back a bit. Not enough to transform for longer, but his regular body's getting tougher. That's amazing. Deku couldn't hide his excitement. So about your quirk, Goku continued, I was thinking we could try something. From what All Might said, your problem is that your body can't handle the power, right? Deku nodded. I can use about 8% safely. Any more and I risk serious injury. That's because you're treating the power as something separate from yourself. Goku took a fighting stance. Watch me power up. The air around Goku began to shimmer. His hair lifted slightly as energy visibly flowed around him. See how the energy moves through my entire body. Not just my arms or legs, but everywhere, evenly distributed. Deku watched, fascinated, taking mental notes. Now you try. Call up your quirk, but this time, focus on letting it flow like water instead of lightning. Deku activated one for all at his safe 8%. The familiar green lightning crackled around him. That's your problem right there, Goku pointed. Your energy's all jagged and concentrated. Try spreading it out. Deku closed his eyes, imagining one for all not as electricity but as water filling a container, his body. To his surprise, the crackling sensation began to smooth out. Good. Now keep that feeling and try increasing the power. Just a tiny bit. Hesitantly, Deku pushed to 10%. Normally, This would cause pain in his joints, but with the new distribution, it doesn't hurt. You're getting it. Goku's face lit up. Your quirk is a lot like ki, it's just energy. The key is how you direct it. For the next hour, they worked on energy distribution techniques. By the end, Deku was consistently using 12% without pain, a modest increase, but one that had huge implications. Thanks, Goku-sensei. Deku bowed deeply. This is going to change everything for me. Goku waved off the formality. Just Goku is fine. And hey, we're helping each other. I'm learning a ton about how quirks work, which might help me figure out this whole dimension situation. As they headed back toward the main campus, Deku couldn't contain his curiosity. Can I ask you something about your world? Sure. What do you want to know? You mentioned people named Vegeta, Gohan, and Bulma. Are they, like you? Goku laughed. No one's quite like me, according to my wife Chi-Chi. But Vegeta's a Saiyan prince, super strong, super proud. Gohan's my son, half Saiyan, half human, total brainiac but crazy powerful when pushed. And Bulma's my oldest friend. She's a genius inventor who built time machines and all sorts of gadgets. You must miss them, Deku said softly. Goku's perpetual smile dimmed slightly. Yeah, especially Chi-Chi and Goten, my younger son. But I've been in worse spots. Once I was dead for 7 years. You mentioned that before. How does that work? Well, our dimension has an afterlife where fighters can keep their bodies if they're worthy. I trained there with King Kai. Goku said this as casually as someone might discuss a vacation. Deku shook his head in wonder. Just when he thought he understood the scope of Goku's experiences, the man would drop another bombshell. Anyway, Goku continued, I'm sure we'll figure out a way for me to get home eventually. In the meantime, I'm having fun teaching you guys. Tomorrow I thought we could try. He stopped suddenly, head tilting like he'd heard something. Goku? Someone's coming. Someone strong. Goku's eyes narrowed, focusing on the main gate of UA. A sleek black government car pulled up, and 3 men in suits stepped out. Between them walked a towering figure with bulging muscles and a face like carved stone. Oh great, Deku muttered. It's Gang Orca and the Public Safety Commission again. Gang Orca's intimidating presence filled Principal Nizu's office as the hero and government officials faced off with UA's staff. Goku sat uncomfortably in a chair too small for him, looking more bored than concerned. The situation is unacceptable, the lead official stated flatly. Unregistered quirk use, unauthorized teaching methods, and now reports of students manifesting abilities outside their registered quirks. Ki isn't a quirk, Aizawa said for what seemed like the 10th time. It's energy manipulation that anyone can learn with proper training. So you claim, Gang Orca rumbled, his deep voice resonating through the room. Yet in the 2 weeks since this individual's arrival, we've documented 17-dimensional anomalies across the city. Nizu sipped his tea calmly. None of which have been linked to Son Goku's teaching activities. The correlation is concerning nonetheless, the official pressed. We demand oversight. A hero from the commission should supervise all training sessions. That would disrupt the learning environment, All Might argued. The students are making remarkable progress. Progress toward what? Gang Orca leaned forward. Becoming fighters instead of heroes? We've reviewed footage of the training. It's combat-focused with little emphasis on rescue, support, or public safety. Goku, who had been fidgeting, finally spoke up. Hey, fish-face guy, Gang Orca, Aizawa corrected under his breath. Right, sorry. Look, I'm just teaching these kids how to use their energy better. How they use it is up to them and their regular teachers. Gang Orca's eyes narrowed at the fish face comment, but he addressed the substance of Goku's statement. You come from a world without heroes as we understand them. How can you prepare students for a profession you don't comprehend? I get helping people, Goku said simply. And I get being strong enough to protect them. The rest is details. The official slammed his hand on Nizu's desk. Details? The entire hero regulatory system exists in those details. Without proper oversight, suddenly, an alarm blared throughout the campus. Red emergency lights flashed. Nizu activated his computer terminal. Multiple villain attacks reported simultaneously across Muzodafu. Coordinated strikes at the shopping district, train station, and hospital. The League of Villains? All Might asked, standing. Unknown, but the pattern suggests organization. Nizu turned to Gang Orca. This discussion will have to wait. The pro-hero was already heading for the door. We'll continue this later. For now, I'm needed on the front lines. I'm coming too. Goku jumped up eagerly. Absolutely not, the official snapped. You have no hero license, no legal standing to, Nizu interrupted. Under the emergency provisions of the Hero Public Safety Act, Section 12, Paragraph 3, UA staff may deputize qualified individuals during a crisis. I'm designating Son Goku as a temporary special consultant to UA's response team. The official sputtered, but Gang Orca cut him off. Fine. But he follows orders from licensed pros. No solo heroics. Sure, whatever. Goku was already heading for the window. Let's go already. To everyone's shock, he simply leaped out, soaring into the sky under his own power. Gang Orca stared after him. That's not a quirk. No, All Might said, a hint of pride in his voice. That's key. The shopping district was in chaos. A group of villains, at least 15 strong, had surrounded the area, using a variety of quirks to cause maximum destruction. Fire hydrants exploded, cars flipped over, and terrified civilians cowered in storefronts. At the center of the chaos stood a man with metallic skin and glowing red eyes, Alloy, a notorious mercenary whose hardening quirk made him nearly impervious to damage. Where are the heroes? He taunted through a megaphone. Too busy with the other attacks to save these shoppers. His answer came in the form of an orange blur that landed in the middle of the street with enough force to crack the pavement. Goku straightened up, taking in the situation with a quick glance. Hey! You guys should really stop wrecking stuff. People are scared. Alloy lowered his megaphone, genuinely confused by this unfamiliar figure in an orange GI. Who the hell are you supposed to be? I'm Goku. I'm helping the heroes today. He bounced lightly on the balls of his feet, clearly eager for action. So are we gonna fight, or what? The villains exchanged glances, then burst out laughing. Is this some kind of joke? Alloy sneered. Where's your costume, hero? Don't need one. Goku stretched his arms. But if you're not gonna make the first move. He vanished from sight. The villains froze, confused, then one by one, they collapsed unconscious. Within 5 seconds, 14 of the 15 were down, leaving only Alloy standing bewildered. Goku reappeared where he'd started. Your friends weren't very strong. How about you? That metal skin looks pretty tough. Alloy roared in rage, charging forward with his fist cocked back. His punch connected solidly with Goku's face, and did absolutely nothing. Goku didn't even blink. Not bad. You're way stronger than those other guys. Goku smiled. My turn. He flicked Alloy's forehead with one finger. The villain's metallic body dented inward as he flew backward, crashing through a mailbox before sliding to a stop, unconscious but alive. Civilians peeked out from their hiding places, murmuring in confusion at how quickly the threat had been neutralized. Goku turned to them with a cheerful wave. It's safe now. The heroes will be here soon to help with cleanup. A young woman approached hesitantly. Are you, a new pro-hero? Nah, just visiting. But I know All Might and the other UA teachers. Goku beamed, then tilted his head, sensing something. Speaking of which. Gang Orca and Death Arms arrived at the scene, stopping short at the sight of 15 unconscious villains and Goku casually chatting with civilians. What happened here? Death Arms managed. These guys were causing trouble, so I stopped them. Goku explained. None of them are seriously hurt, just knocked out. Gang Orca surveyed the scene with disbelief. The attack began 4 minutes ago. We just got the alert. Yeah, they weren't very strong, Goku scratched his head. Are there more fights? Those other places you mentioned. The train station and hospital are still under attack, Gang Orca confirmed, activating his comm, teams are responding, but, Goku placed 2 fingers to his forehead. I can sense a bunch of aggressive energies at both locations. I'll check out the hospital first, feels like there are more civilians in danger there. Wait, we need to coordinate, Gang Orca began, but Goku vanished into thin air, leaving the pro-heroes staring at empty space. Death Arms turned to Gang Orca. Did he just teleport? Apparently. Gang Orca looked at the downed villains, then back to where Goku had disappeared. The Commission is going to have a field day with this. At Muzutafu General Hospital, the situation was dire. Villains had taken the emergency room hostage, demanding the release of imprisoned comrades. Outside, a standoff with police and heroes had developed, complicated by the fact that injured civilians were among the hostages. We've got snipers in position, the police captain told Endeavor, who had responded to the crisis. But we can't get a clean shot on the leader. Endeavor's flames flickered with barely contained fury. How many hostages? At least 30. Patients, staff, visitors. Inside the emergency room, a villain with octopus-like appendages growing from his back held a scalpel to a nurse's throat. 2 more minutes, then we start cutting people. You hear me out there? A strange popping sound made him turn. A spiky-haired man in an orange GI stood in the center of the room, looking around curiously. Who the hell are you? The octopus villain demanded. How did you get in here? I'm Goku. I used instant transmission. Goku noticed the hostages and frowned. Hey, threatening injured people isn't cool. You should leave. The villain laughed, tightening his grip on the nurse. Back off or she dies. Then all these other hostages follow. Goku tilted his head, his usual cheerful expression turning serious. You know, where I come from, I fight all kinds of bad guys. Planet destroyers, gods, you name it. But they usually have some kind of code. They don't hide behind sick people. Before the villain could respond, Goku simply vanished again. The scalpel dropped from the villain's suddenly empty tentacle. The nurse was gone too. What the villain spun around, finding all his hostages had disappeared in an instant. Outside, police and heroes stumbled back as 30 hostages plus a nurse appeared out of nowhere behind their barricade. They're safe now, Goku told the stunned officers. The bad guys are alone in there. Endeavor stared at Goku, flames intensifying. Who are you? UA sent me. I'll explain later. Goku put his fingers to his forehead again. Those villains seem pretty confused. Might be a good time to go arrest them. He vanished once more, leaving Endeavor seething at being upstaged so effortlessly. Inside, the villains were panicking, unable to understand how their hostages had vanished. When the pro-heroes stormed in seconds later, they offered little resistance, too disoriented to mount an effective defense. By the time Goku reappeared at the train station, the third attack site, the situation there was already under control. Hawks and Mirko had contained the threat, though they were surprised when Goku appeared mid-battle to ask if they needed help. Got it handled, Spiky, Mirko said, delivering a powerful kick to the last standing villain. Though I heard you made quite an impression at the hospital. Goku shrugged. Those guys were just bullies. Not even good fighters. Hawks landed beside them, folding his wings. You must be the dimensional visitor I've heard about. UA's new secret weapon. I'm not a weapon, Goku corrected. Just a martial artist who got lost between worlds. Hawks and Mirko exchanged looks. Whatever you are, Hawk said, the hero community's buzzing about how you just ended 2 major incidents in minutes. It wasn't a big deal, Goku insisted. I've fought way tougher guys. Like this one time with Frieza. He stopped, head snapping toward the city center. That energy, it's like the warehouse, but stronger. Hawks tensed. Another dimensional anomaly? Yeah, but bigger. And there's something familiar. Goku's eyes widened. Someone's trying to open a portal to my world. Without waiting for a response, he placed 2 fingers to his forehead and vanished. Mirko blinked at the empty space. Did he just, apparently, Hawk said, activating his comm, all units, possible dimensional incident in progress at city center. Son Goku responding. Shiro Kuro stood atop the Muzutafu central tower, his modified dimensional device humming with power. The coordinated villain attacks had served their purpose, distracting heroes while he prepared his largest portal yet. His appearance had changed dramatically. The black and white division of his skin now flowed constantly, sometimes revealing glimpses of other textures beneath, scales, crystal, even metal, as if his body was cycling through different dimensional states. His eyes glowed with unearthly light, one white, one black. Finally, he murmured, as the air before him began to distort. A stable connection. The dimensional barrier thinned, revealing a blurry image of a domed building surrounded by lush gardens, Capsule Corporation from Goku's world. So that's where you're from, Shiro smiled, adjusting his equipment to widen the portal. A world of key users and gods. A small drone hovered nearby, recording everything. Shiro had released similar drones throughout the city, broadcasting his achievement to specific receivers, including ones at UA and the Public Safety Commission. People of this world, he announced, his voice transmitted across the city. You've lived constrained by artificial boundaries, quirks that limit your potential, a society that regulates your power. Today I show you that these constraints are illusions. Between dimensions lies unlimited potential. The portal widened further, now large enough for a person to step through. Wind from the other dimension, Goku's Earth, blew through, carrying the scent of an alien world. I am Shiro Kuro, the first dimensional alchemist. And today, I begin the convergence of realities. A rush of air interrupted his broadcast as Goku appeared beside him. Hey! Goku pointed at the portal. That's Bulma's place. You can't just open doors to other dimensions without permission. Shiro smiled, not at all surprised by the arrival. Son Goku. I was hoping you'd join me. You're proof of my theory, that power transcends dimensional boundaries. Look, I don't know what you're trying to do, but messing with dimensions is super dangerous. Goku stepped toward the device. Last time someone did this, an evil version of me nearly destroyed the multiverse. I'm not interested in destruction, Shiro said, raising his hand. A small rift opened beside him, and he pulled through a strange fruit with a metallic sheen. I'm interested in evolution. Before Goku could stop him, Shiro bit into the fruit. Energy coursed visibly through his body, the black and white patterns swirling faster. That's metallic fruit from planet Vegeta. Goku recognized it immediately. How did you? I've been exploring many dimensions, Shiro explained. Sampling their energies, their artifacts. Each one adds to my understanding. Goku's expression turned serious. That's enough. I'm shutting this down. He moved forward with blinding speed, but Shiro simply shifted. Goku's hand passed through empty air as Shiro reappeared 3 feet to the left. Dimensional phasing, Shiro explained. I exist in multiple realities simultaneously now. Goku's eyes narrowed. Neat trick. But I've fought guys who can teleport before. He vanished and reappeared behind Shiro, aiming a precise strike. Again, Shiro phased out of existence, the attack passing harmlessly through the space he'd occupied. I'm not teleporting, Shiro corrected, reforming nearby. I'm shifting my dimensional alignment. You can't touch me unless I allow our realities to fully intersect. Down below, civilians gathered in the streets, watching the strange battle unfold atop the tower. News helicopters circled at a safe distance, cameras broadcasting the confrontation live. Goku studied his opponent thoughtfully. If you can pull things from other dimensions, that means you're still partially in this one. He cupped his hands at his side. Ka. Me. Shiro's eyes widened as he recognized the stance from their previous encounter. Ha. Me. You wouldn't, Shiro said, glancing at the crowds below. Too many innocents. Goku grinned. HAA. Instead of firing forward, Goku aimed straight up. The massive beam shot into the sky, seemingly missing Shiro entirely. You missed, Shiro said, confused. Nope. Goku pointed upward. The Kamehameha had split into dozens of smaller beams that now rained down from above, covering the entire rooftop in a pattern that left no space untouched. Shiro couldn't phase away from all of them. At least one beam struck him as he rematerialized, sending him tumbling across the roof. Figured you had to be solid somewhere, Goku said, walking toward him. Can't stay phased forever, right? Shiro climbed to his feet, the wound on his shoulder already healing as his body shifted through dimensional states. Impressive. But I'm still learning. He thrust both hands forward, opening multiple small rifts around Goku. From each one, energy beams fired, copies of Goku's own Kamehameha, harvested from other dimensions. Goku dodged with incredible speed, weaving between the beams. Using my own attacks against me? Now that's just rude. As they fought, the portal to Capsule Corporation grew larger, its stability increasing. On the other side, figures could now be seen moving about, unaware that their dimension was being breached. Your world has so much to offer mine, Shiro said, gesturing to the portal. Knowledge. Power. Freedom from the artificial constraints of quirks. And you think just taking stuff from other dimensions is okay? Goku countered, still dodging energy beams. I'm not taking, I'm connecting. Breaking barriers that shouldn't exist. Shiro's voice had taken on a fanatical edge. Imagine a world where everyone can access their full potential, not just the 80% born with quirks. That made Goku pause. Wait, 20% of people here don't have powers. Shiro seized on the hesitation. They're called quirkless. Treated as less than, limited by biology. But dimensional energy doesn't care about quirk factors. It's available to anyone with the will to grasp it. That's, actually a good point, Goku admitted. Where I'm from, anyone can learn ki control. But, his expression hardened again, stealing from other worlds isn't the answer. Suddenly, the portal fluctuated violently. Something was happening on the other side. A blue-haired woman had noticed the spatial distortion and was pointing some kind of device at it. Bulma. Goku called out, recognizing his friend. The woman looked up, shock crossing her face as she saw Goku. Goku? What the? Before they could communicate further, the portal began to destabilize. Bulma's countermeasures were working. No. Shiro rushed to his equipment, trying to stabilize the connection. Goku seized the opportunity. He dashed forward, grabbed the dimensional device, and ripped it from its mounting. Sorry, but this experiment's over. The portal collapsed with a thunderous boom, the backlash sending both Goku and Shiro flying across the rooftop. Shiro staggered to his feet, fury contorting his face. Do you realize what you've done? That was a stable dimensional bridge. The first in human history. Yeah, a bridge you built without asking permission from either side, Goku countered, crushing the device in his hands. That's trespassing where I come from. Shiro's expression shifted from anger to cold calculation. This isn't over, Scion. You've shown me that the connections are possible. Next time, they'll be unbreakable. Before Goku could respond, Shiro opened a small rift behind himself and stepped backward into it, vanishing completely. Goku sighed, looking at the crushed remains of the device. Why do bad guys always have to make dramatic exits? At UA, Class 1A watched the footage of Goku's battles with a mixture of awe and disbelief. The combined villain attacks and Shiro's dimensional portal had dominated the news all afternoon. He took down 15 villains in seconds, Kaminari said for the third time. Seconds. And that teleporting technique, Ida added, chopping his hand through the air. Instant movement without any apparent drawbacks or limitations. Bakugo watched silently, eyes fixed on the footage of Goku's fight with Shiro atop the tower. The way he'd turned a missed Kamehameha into a tactical advantage, it was the kind of battle genius Bakugo respected. Deku was frantically taking notes, muttering to himself. The way he predicted Shiro's phasing limitations, forcing him to rematerialize in a predictable pattern. Earth to Deku, Uraraka waved her hand in front of his face. You've been muttering for 10 minutes straight. Sorry. Deku looked up, embarrassed. It's just, Goku fights differently from any hero I've studied. He adapts instantly, finds weaknesses I wouldn't even think to look for. Because he's fought gods and stuff, Kirishima said, still hung up on that detail from Goku's earlier stories. Actual gods. The classroom door slid open, and Aizawa entered, followed by Goku himself. The class immediately erupted in excited questions and exclamations. Quiet, Aizawa commanded, activating his quirk briefly. The class fell silent. Today's events have accelerated our timeline. The threat posed by Shiro Kuro's dimensional manipulation has been deemed critical by the Hero Public Safety Commission. Does that mean they're finally going to let me go home? Goku asked hopefully. Quite the opposite, Aizawa said. The commission has granted you provisional hero status, strictly limited and under UA's supervision, specifically to help counter this threat. The class burst into cheers, which Aizawa silenced with another glare. Additionally, he continued, Principal Nizu has authorized accelerated key training for Class 1A. Your standard hero coursework will continue, but you'll spend additional hours each day with Son Goku. Goku brightened. More training time. Awesome. I've got so many techniques I want to show you guys. Aizawa turned to him with a warning look. Within safety parameters we've established. Yeah, no planet-busting stuff. I get it. Goku waved dismissively. The class exchanged alarmed glances at the casual mention of planet-busting. One more thing, Aizawa added. Based on Shiro Kuro's broadcast and his demonstrated abilities, we believe his goal is to destabilize the barrier between dimensions permanently. This could have catastrophic consequences for our world and others. Like what? Todoroki asked quietly. Dimensional collapse, Deku answered before Aizawa could. If the barriers between realities break down completely. Reality itself could unravel, Aizawa confirmed. Which is why your training is no longer just about self-improvement. It may be preparation for a fight to save our world. The classroom fell silent as the gravity of the situation sank in. Bakugo stood abruptly. So when do we start the real training? Goku grinned at him. Right now, if you want. Bakugo's answering smile was predatory. Damn right I do. The training ground echoed with explosive impacts as Bakugo and Goku sparred. The rest of Class 1A watched from a safe distance, mesmerized by the display. Bakugo had improved dramatically in the 2 weeks since Goku's arrival. His movements were sharper, his quirk usage more efficient. He'd integrated basic ki enhancement into his fighting style, using it to bolster his already formidable explosions. Still, the gap between them was obvious. Goku dodged every attack with casual ease, occasionally blocking just to test Bakugo's strength. You're getting better. Goku encouraged, sidestepping a massive blast. Try focusing your ki before you trigger the explosion, not during. Bakugo adjusted mid-attack, concentrating energy into his palms before detonating. The resulting explosion was smaller but far more focused, shooting forward like a laser rather than expanding outward. The precision blast nearly caught Goku by surprise. He deflected it at the last second, genuine approval on his face. That's it. Perfect control. Bakugo landed, breathing hard but looking satisfied. For once, he didn't respond with his usual anger, just nodded sharply, acknowledging the praise. Who's next? Goku called. Out, bouncing on his toes. To everyone's surprise, Todoroki stepped forward. The dual quirk user had been one of the quieter students during key training, methodically practicing but rarely seeking attention. I'd like to try something, he said calmly. Goku beamed. Great. Show me what you've got. Todoroki took a stance, then closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, he moved with fluid grace unlike his usual fighting style. His right side frosted over while his left ignited, standard for his quirk, but something was different. The ice and fire weren't simply emanating from his body, they swirled around him in controlled patterns. He's using ki to direct his quirk, Deku whispered in awe. Look at the precision. Todoroki thrust both hands forward. Instead of his typical massive ice wall or fire blast, he created a spiraling vortex where ice and fire intertwined without canceling each other out, a technique that should have been impossible given the opposing natures of his quirk's halves. Goku met the attack head-on, dispersing it with a ki-charged punch that sent shockwaves across the training ground. That was amazing. Goku exclaimed. You balanced two opposing energies perfectly. Todoroki nodded, a rare smile crossing his face. Ki control makes it possible to maintain the separation while directing both simultaneously. One by one, other students demonstrated their progress. Uraraka could now apply her zero-gravity effect with pinpoint accuracy without touching objects. Ida had learned to enhance his engines with ki, increasing speed without additional fuel consumption. Even Mineta showed improvement, creating sticky balls infused with ki that could change direction mid-flight. They're all advancing at an incredible rate, All Might commented to Aizawa as they observed from the sidelines. Too fast, Aizawa replied, concern evident. This kind of power progression normally takes years of training. There's something accelerating their development. All Might looked thoughtful. Perhaps it's the dimensional energy itself. Nizu mentioned that readings across campus have been increasing. Or perhaps, a new voice interjected as Nizu joined them, our students are simply rising to an existential challenge. They watched as Deku stepped up to spar with Goku next. The green-haired student had made perhaps the most dramatic improvements. His control over One for All had become notably more refined, and he'd begun successfully integrating key techniques into his fighting style. Young Midoriya seems to have a natural affinity for Son Goku's teaching methods, All Might observed with poorly concealed pride. Their energies are similar, Nizu noted. Both drawing from a power that exceeds normal human limitations. Deku activated One for All, green lightning crackling around him, but now, there was also a subtle white aura beneath it, the key energy he'd been cultivating. He moved with newfound confidence, each strike precisely controlled. Goku blocked a roundhouse kick, genuine effort showing on his face for once. That's it, Deku. You're getting it. Encouraged, Deku pressed forward, combining One for All's strength with ki-enhanced movements. For a brief moment, he actually pushed Goku back a step, something none of the other students had managed. The class cheered, even Bakugo looking grudgingly impressed. I've been thinking about what you said, Deku told Goku between exchanges. About One for All being part of me, not separate. And? Goku prompted, blocking a flurry of punches. I think I understand now. Deku focused intensely, and the green lightning of his quirk seemed to momentarily synchronize with his ki aura, turning a harmonious blue-green. It's all just energy, different forms, but the same foundation. He launched forward with explosive speed, executing a perfect ki-enhanced Delaware smash that Goku had to actually dodge rather than block. Whoa! Goku laughed with delight. That was awesome. You combined them. Deku landed, staring at his hands in wonder. I didn't hurt myself at all, even going past my normal limit. Because you stopped fighting your own power, Goku explained. That's the secret, working with your energy, not against it. The training session continued, each student showing remarkable progress. By the end, even Aizawa had to admit that Goku's methods, unorthodox as they were producing unprecedented results. As the students headed back to the dorms, exhausted but exhilarated, All Might approached Goku. You've accomplished in 2 weeks what might have taken them years, he said quietly. I'm particularly impressed with young Midoriya's development. Goku grinned. He reminds me of my son Gohan, huge potential, just needs confidence. The key control is helping him harmonize with One for All instead of treating it like some separate force he has to wrestle with. Indeed. All Might looked toward the city, where cleanup from the day's events was still ongoing. But I wonder if we're preparing them quickly enough. Shiro Kuro's abilities are evolving rapidly. He's definitely getting stronger, Goku agreed, his expression turning serious. That dimensional phasing technique is tricky. Hard to hit someone who can shift between realities. Could you defeat him? If it came to a decisive battle? Goku considered this. Right now? Probably. But he's growing fast, adapting, learning. And he's got access to powers and artifacts from multiple dimensions. All Might sighed. When I was the symbol of peace, the public could rest easy knowing I could handle any threat. But this is beyond anything we've faced. Hey, don't worry. Goku clapped him on the shoulder, nearly toppling the skinny former hero. Where I come from, we face world-ending threats all the time. You learn to roll with it. All Might couldn't help but smile at Goku's perpetual optimism. I suppose that's one approach. Besides, Goku added, your students are amazing. Especially that Bakugo kid and Deku. They've got real fighter spirits. They're training to be heroes, not fighters, All Might reminded him gently. What's the difference? Goku asked with genuine curiosity. Where I'm from, the strongest fighters protect the earth. Isn't that what heroes do? All Might considered this. The distinction is perhaps more about approach than outcome. Heroes in our society operate within a system of laws and public expectations. Their purpose isn't just to win battles, but to inspire and reassure. Like you did as the symbol of peace. Goku guessed. Precisely. Though I suspect in your world, inspiration takes different forms. Goku nodded thoughtfully. I guess so. People on my Earth don't even know who saved them half the time. We just do it because it's the right thing to do. There's nobility in that, All Might acknowledged. Perhaps our students could learn something from your perspective, just as you might learn from ours. Learning from each other, that's what this is all about. Goku said cheerfully. Now, want to get some food? All this teaching makes me hungry. In the shadows of an abandoned warehouse district, the League of Villains gathered around a screen replaying footage of the day's events. 15 villains in seconds, Shigaraki muttered, scratching his neck irritably. Who is this guy? Son Goku, Kurojiiri replied. According to my sources, he appeared through a dimensional rift 2 weeks ago. UA has been harboring him since. Toga leaned forward, eyes shining with disturbing intensity. He's so strong. I wonder what his blood tastes like. You'd never get close enough to find out, Dabi commented dryly. Did you see how fast he moves? Those weren't speed enhancement quirks. It was something else entirely. Key energy, a new voice announced from the doorway. The villains turned to see Shiro Kuro standing there, his shifting black and white form casting strange shadows. Shigaraki was on his feet instantly, hand outstretched. Who the hell are you? How did you find this place? I have eyes across dimensions, Shiro replied calmly. And I believe we have mutual interests. Dimensional alchemist, Toga giggled. I saw you on TV. You were fighting the strong guy. Shiro inclined his head. Son Goku is from another dimension, one where power works differently. He uses ki energy instead of quirks. And why should we care? Shigaraki demanded, still poised to attack. Because I can give you access to that same power. Shiro opened his palm, revealing a small crystal that pulsed with multicolored light. Dimensional energy, the force that exists between realities. It can enhance quirks beyond their natural limitations. Shigaraki lowered his hand slightly, interest overriding caution. What's your angle? Why come to us? I need allies who understand the restrictive nature of this society, Shiro explained. The hero system, the quirk registry, the regulations, they're all designed to limit human potential. I want to break those limits. By bringing in power from other dimensions, Dabi surmised. Including this ki energy. Precisely. Son Goku is merely the beginning. Imagine what else exists beyond our reality, power waiting to be claimed. Shigaraki exchanged looks with Kurojirai, who nodded slightly. Prove it, Shigaraki challenged. Show us this dimensional power you're offering. Shiro smiled, the expression eerie on his constantly shifting face. He tossed the crystal to Shigaraki, who caught it reflexively. Crush it in your decay hand. Shigaraki hesitated, then applied his disintegration quirk. Instead of turning to dust, the crystal melted into his palm, merging with his skin. Immediately, the decay spread further up his arm, the familiar cracked pattern now glowing with otherworldly light. What the? He stared as the decay reached his shoulder without causing him pain. Your quirk's limitation was always the physical toll it took on your body, Shiro explained. Dimensional energy removes that constraint. Try decaying something. Shigaraki tentatively touched a nearby table. It disintegrated instantly, faster than his quirk had ever worked before, and with none of the usual itching sensation that accompanied extended use. Interesting, Shigaraki murmured, a twisted smile forming behind the hand on his face. What do you want in return for this gift? Help me capture Son Goku, Shiro said. Or at least keep the heroes busy while I complete my work. I'm building a device that will permanently bridge dimensions, allowing free flow of energy between worlds. And the heroes are trying to stop you, Dabi guessed. They fear what they don't understand, Shiro's voice hardened. They'd rather maintain their regulated system of artificial power than embrace true potential. Toga bounced excitedly. Ooh, can I get one of those crystals too? Pretty please. Shiro produced more crystals, each pulsing with dimensional energy. I have enough for all of you. Consider it a down payment on our partnership. As the League members eagerly accepted the crystals, Shigaraki studied his enhanced hand thoughtfully. Son Goku, he mused. The hero killer from another dimension. He's not actually a hero, Shiro corrected. That's what makes him dangerous. He has no allegiance to their system, he fights because he enjoys it. But he's sided with UA for now, making him an obstacle. We're good at creating distractions, Kurojirai offered. And with these enhancements, we could cause unprecedented chaos. Perfect. Shiro smiled. I need 3 days to complete my dimensional bridge. After that, power beyond your imagination will be within reach. 3 days of chaos, Shigaraki repeated, watching decay. Energy swirl around his fingers. I think we can manage that. The next morning, Deku woke early, his mind still racing with everything that had happened. He headed to the common area to find several classmates already up, discussing the previous day's events. Did you see the news? Uraraka asked as he joined them. They're calling Goku the orange blur because most cameras couldn't even track his movements. The government's going crazy, Kaminari added. There was some official on TV demanding oversight of extradimensional entities or something. Ida chopped his hand through the air. It's a legitimate concern. If interdimensional travel becomes commonplace, our entire hero regulatory system would need restructuring. Todoroki, quietly sipping tea in the corner, looked up. My father called me last night. The top 10 heroes had an emergency meeting about Shiro, Kuro and Goku. They're worried. About which one? Deku asked. Both, Todoroki replied. A villain who can access multiple dimensions and a visitor who can defeat 15 villains in seconds, either one represents a paradigm shift for hero society. Speaking of paradigm shifts, Yaoyorozu joined the conversation, tablet in hand. Have you seen Shiro Kuro's manifesto? He uploaded it after yesterday's incident. She showed them the screen, where Shiro's face, black and white patterns swirling hypnotically, addressed the camera. Citizens of a limited world, the recording began, you've been told that quirks are the pinnacle of human evolution. That the current hero system represents the ideal balance of power and responsibility. These are lies designed to maintain control. Dimensions exist beyond our own where power flows freely, unconstrained by artificial regulations. Son Goku is merely one example of what exists beyond our reality. I offer not destruction, but transcendence, a world where energy flows freely between dimensions, where anyone can access their true potential regardless of the quirk they were born with. The video continued, outlining Shiro's vision of a world without the artificial constraints of quirk-based society. Many of his points about the marginalization of the quirkless and the rigid hero hierarchy struck uncomfortable chords. He's not entirely wrong, Deku said quietly, thinking of his own quirkless childhood. The current system does leave some people behind. But destabilizing dimensional barriers isn't the answer, Yaoyorozu countered. The scientific community is warning about potential catastrophic consequences. Their discussion was interrupted as Bakugo stormed into the common area, heading straight for the exit. Where are you going, Kaken? Deku called. Classes don't start for an hour. Extra training, Bakugo grunted without stopping. Kirishima jumped up. Wait up, I'll come too. Soon, several others were following, eager to get in additional practice before the day's scheduled key training session. Deku hurried to catch up with Bakugo. You're really taking this seriously? Of course I am, Bakugo snapped. You saw what that Goku guy did yesterday. And what Shiro freak is capable of. This isn't about passing some hero exam anymore, this is about power that goes beyond quirks. Deku was surprised by Bakugo's candor. I thought you'd be more resistant to the idea that quirks aren't everything. Bakugo scoffed. I'm not an idiot, Deku. My explosions are powerful, but this key stuff, he generated a small ball of energy in his palm, something he couldn't do just days ago, this changes everything. And I'm going to master it before anyone else. As they reached the training ground, they found Goku already there with All Might, both in the midst of their own training session. All Might was in his power-down form, but moving with more vitality than Deku had seen in months. He executed a series of punches that carried visible ki enhancement, not nearly as powerful as Goku's, but impressive nonetheless. Good morning. Goku called cheerfully, waving them over. You guys are up early. We want to train. More, Bakugo said bluntly. After yesterday, it's clear we need to get stronger fast. Goku's face lit up. That's the spirit. All Might and I were just working on his ki reinforcement. His body's responding really well to the training. All Might coughed into his hand, embarrassed but pleased. Son Goku has been kind enough to help me develop what strength remains in this form. The results have been encouraging. Deku couldn't hide his excitement. All Might, your movements look much stronger. Is ki helping with your injury? Not healing it, All Might clarified, but helping me work around its limitations. Ki flows differently from one for all, less taxing on an old man's body. More students arrived, and soon the training ground was filled with Class 1A practicing their developing abilities. Goku moved among them, offering guidance and encouragement, while All Might observed with evident pride. Bakugo, try channeling your ki before triggering the explosion, like yesterday. Goku called out. Todoroki, remember how you balanced your fire and ice. Apply that same principle to your regular movements. The atmosphere was charged with determination and a sense of urgency that hadn't existed before yesterday's events. Every student understood now that they weren't just training for future hero careers, they were preparing for a potential dimensional crisis. Halfway through the session, Aizawa arrived with Principal Nizu. Son Goku, Nizu called, a moment, please. Goku jogged over while the students continued practicing. What's up? We've been analyzing the energy readings from yesterday's portal, Nizu explained. There's something concerning we'd like your input on. He produced a tablet showing a complex graph. Goku stared at it blankly. I'm not really good with science stuff. That's more Bulma's thing. Aizawa sighed. The simple version, Shiro's portal wasn't just connecting to your world. It was drawing energy from multiple dimensions simultaneously. The amount of power he's channeling is increasing exponentially. Oh, that's bad, Goku understood this part. If he's pulling too much energy from too many places at once, it could create a cascade failure across dimensional boundaries, Nizu confirmed. What we don't understand is why the dimensional barriers seem to be thinning specifically in our world. Goku thought for a moment. When I arrived, I felt something weird about this place. The energy here is different, more structured. Like it's organized into these specific quirk patterns instead of flowing freely. Interesting theory, Nizu mused. Quirks emerged about 2 centuries ago in our world. Before that, humans had no supernatural abilities. Maybe that's it, Goku suggested. Where I come from, ki has always been there, just waiting to be tapped into. Here, it's all bundled up in these quirks. When Shiro started poking holes between dimensions, he might be letting that natural energy flow back in. Aizawa and Nizu exchanged looks. If that's true, Aizawa said, then the dimensional disturbances might not be entirely Shiro's doing. His activities could be accelerating a process that began when quirks first appeared. Which would explain why your students are adapting to ki training so quickly, Goku realized. The energy was always there, just redirected. Nizu's tail swished thoughtfully. This requires further investigation. In the meantime, he was interrupted by an emergency alert from Aizawa's comm device. Multiple villain attacks reported, Aizawa reported grimly. Similar pattern to yesterday, but more widespread. At least 12 separate incidents across the city. The League of Villains? Nizu questioned. Confirmed at 3 locations. Reports indicate they're displaying unusual abilities, enhanced versions of their known quirks. Goku's expression turned serious. Shiro must have given them some of that dimensional energy he's been collecting. I need to coordinate with other heroes, Aizawa said. Principal. Go, Nizu ordered. Son Goku, you're authorized to respond as well, under the provisional license we arranged. Goku nodded, turning to the students, who had gathered closer upon noticing the emergency. Sorry, guys. Hero stuff. Keep practicing what we worked on. We want to help too. Kirishima protested. We've been training for this. Absolutely not, Aizawa stated flatly. You're still students. But our key training, Bakugo began, is still in its early stages, All Might interjected. Even with your remarkable progress, facing villains enhanced by dimensional energy would be too dangerous. Reluctantly, the students stayed behind as Goku, Aizawa, and All Might departed for the crisis. The moment they were gone, however, Bakugo turned to his classmates. Who's coming with me? Bakugo. Ida protested. We were explicitly ordered to remain here. They always tell us to stay behind, and we always end up in the middle of it anyway, Bakugo argued. Might as well skip to the end. Anyone who's not a coward, follow me. To Ida's dismay, Kirishima immediately sided with Bakugo. He's right. We've been training for this. It's different this time, Deku said thoughtfully. We actually have new abilities that might help. Abilities the pro heroes don't fully understand yet. One by one, students began nodding in agreement. We won't engage directly, Todoroki suggested as a compromise. But we can observe, gather intelligence on how the dimensional energy is affecting villains' quirks. That information could be valuable. Ida struggled visibly with his duty as class representative and his desire to help. Finally, he relented. A reconnaissance mission only. At the first sign of serious danger, we retreat. Whatever, Bakugo was already heading for the exit. Just don't get in my way. Downtown Mizudafu had become a battlefield. At 12 separate locations, villains with enhanced quirks were overwhelming the standard hero response. The League's core members led the most devastating attacks, their dimensional enhanced abilities proving challenging even for top pros. At the financial district, Goku appeared via instant transmission beside Endeavor, who was battling a dramatically powered-up Dabi. The villain's blue flames, normally destructive but limited in range, now spiraled in complex patterns that seemed to ignore physical constraints. Need a hand? Goku asked cheerfully. Endeavor scowled, unleashing a massive fire blast that Dabi simply absorbed into his enhanced flames. I don't need help from UA's pet dimensional tourist. Your call, Goku shrugged, observing the battle with interest. But that guy's flames aren't normal anymore. They're infused with dimensional energy. Endeavor's next attack confirmed Goku's assessment as Dabi manipulated his fire to create a circling vortex that cut off escape routes. Civilians trapped in nearby buildings screamed for help. Fine, Endeavor growled. What do you suggest? His flames are connected to a dimensional pocket, Goku explained. You can't overpower them directly, you need to disrupt the connection. Without waiting for acknowledgement, Goku vanished and reappeared behind Dabi, striking with precise ki-enhanced chops that targeted specific points on the villain's back. Dabi's flames faltered momentarily. There. Goku called to Endeavor. Hit him now while the connection's disrupted. To his credit, Endeavor didn't hesitate. He launched a concentrated flame spear that struck Dabi before he could recover, sending the villain crashing into a nearby car. How did you know where to strike? Endeavor demanded as they approached the downed villain. I could see where the dimensional energy was flowing into him, Goku explained. It's like little rivers of power connecting to specific points. Dabi struggled to rise, his flames flickering with unusual colors. This isn't over, he snarled. The dimensional alchemist has shown us the truth, quirks are just the beginning of what's possible. Before they could apprehend him, a warp gate opened beneath Dabi, and he disappeared. Kurogyri, Endeavor muttered. We need to find the warp user. I'll try sensing for him, Goku offered, closing his eyes to concentrate. Whoa, there's a lot going on. I'm picking up unusual energy signatures all over the city. His eyes snapped open. Including some familiar ones. Your students didn't stay put, did they? Endeavor's flames intensified. UA students? In this chaos? Yep, definitely sensing Bakugo and Deku, they're near the shopping district where Shigaraki is attacking. Damn it, Endeavor activated his comm, this is Endeavor. UA students reported at the shopping district. Engaging Shigaraki, send backup. Goku placed 2 fingers to his forehead. I'll handle it. He vanished, leaving an increasingly frustrated Endeavor behind. At the shopping district, Shigaraki was demonstrating his enhanced decay quirk, disintegrating entire buildings with casual touches. Unlike his normal disintegration, which spread gradually, the dimensional enhanced version exploded outward at frightening speed. This is liberation. Shigaraki announced to fleeing civilians. The artificial constraints of quirk society falling away. From a nearby rooftop, Deku, Bakugo, Todoroki, and Uraraka observed with growing horror. His decay is moving 10 times faster than before, Deku muttered, recording observations in his notebook. And it's not causing him any physical strain. It's like Goku said about dimensional energy, Uraraka whispered. It's removing the natural limitations of quirks. Bakugo flexed his hand, small explosions popping. We can take him. Between my explosions and Icy Hot's flames, we agreed on reconnaissance only, Todoroki reminded him sharply. Besides, that's not just enhanced decay. There's something fundamentally different about how it's manifesting. Deku nodded. It's like it's not just destroying matter anymore, it's unraveling it. Breaking down the bonds between atoms and something else. A civilian scream drew their attention. A young woman had tripped while fleeing, her ankle clearly injured, and she was directly in Shigaraki's path. Screw reconnaissance, Bakugo growled, launching himself off the roof with an explosion. Wait! Deku called, but it was too late. The others had no choice but to follow. Bakugo landed between Shigaraki and the injured woman, palms crackling with explosive energy. Back off, crusty face. Shigaraki paused, genuinely surprised. UA students. How convenient. His surprise turned to twisted delight as the others landed beside Bakugo. Even better. Midoriya and friends, right on schedule. Kaken, we need to retreat, Deku whispered urgently. His quirk is way too dangerous in this state. Scared, Deku? Shigaraki taunted. You should be. The dimensional alchemist has shown me what real power looks like. He lunged forward with startling speed, hands outstretched. Bakugo blasted himself backward while Todoroki raised an ice wall between Shigaraki and the others. The moment Shigaraki touched the ice, it didn't just decay, it seemed to fold in on itself, vanishing into a tiny point of light. That's not decay, Todoroki gasped. He's creating microdimensional rifts. Deku's mind raced. If Shigaraki could now create dimensional tiers with his touch, direct combat was suicide. They needed to keep their distance while evacuating the injured civilian. Uraraka, he called, get the civilian out. Kaken, Todoroki, we need to contain him without direct contact. Understanding immediately, Uraraka used her zero gravity to lift the injured woman, while Bakugo and Todoroki launched ranged attacks to keep Shigaraki at bay. Deku activated One for All, feeling the familiar power flow through him, then focused on synchronizing it with his developing key sense. The green lightning harmonized with a white aura as he had managed during training. Air Force. He flicked his finger, sending a compressed air bullet toward Shigaraki with pinpoint accuracy. The villain dodged, but the distraction allowed Bakugo to close in with an explosion that carried unusual focus, his key-enhanced AP shot. The blast caught Shigaraki in the shoulder, spinning him around. You've learned some new tricks, Shigaraki snarled. But so have I. He slammed his palm to the ground. Instantly, the decay spread in a perfect circle around him, creating a widening ring of disintegration that forced the students to retreat to higher ground. We can't beat him, Deku realized. We need to fall back and wait for pros. Like hell. Bakugo shouted, preparing another attack. Before he could launch it, a familiar figure appeared between them and Shigaraki. Hey kids. Goku greeted cheerfully. Nice key enhancement on that explosion, Bakugo. But maybe save it for training. Shigaraki's eyes widened. Son Goku. The dimensional traveler himself. That's me. Goku turned to face him. And you must be the crusty hand guy Deku mentioned. Your energy feels weird, all twisted up with dimensional stuff. The dimensional alchemist showed me true power, Shigaraki replied. The kind that isn't constrained by this hero-obsessed society. Yeah, about that, Goku scratched his head. I'm all for getting stronger, but you're kinda hurting innocent people. That's not cool. Shigaraki laughed. The Scion warrior, defending human weaklings. Shiro Kuro told us about you, how in your world, strength is what matters. You're a fighter, not a hero. I'm both. Goku corrected brightly. Now, are we gonna fight, or what? The question was answered as Kurogiri's warp gate suddenly appeared behind Shigaraki. Another time, Shigaraki promised, backing toward the portal. When the dimensions fully merge, you'll see the truth, Son Goku. He disappeared through the gate, which closed instantly. Goku sighed, turning to the students. I was looking forward to that fight. Oh well. You guys okay? We're fine, Deku assured him. But Shigaraki's decay, it wasn't just destroying things anymore. It was creating microdimensional rifts. Yeah, I noticed that, Goku nodded. Shiro must have given them pieces of that dimensional energy he's been collecting. It's changing how their quirks work. Bakugo crossed his arms defensively. We had it handled. You actually did pretty well. Goku agreed, surprising them. That ki-enhanced explosion was super impressive, Bakugo. And Deku, you're really getting the hang of combining one for all with ki. Before they could bask in the praise, Endeavor arrived, flames roaring with barely contained fury. What were you thinking? He demanded of the students. Engaging a villain of Shigaraki's caliber, enhanced with unknown power, without pro supervision. They were helping evacuate civilians, Goku interjected smoothly. And they did a great job keeping their distance while I arrived. Endeavor clearly didn't believe this but had more pressing concerns. The attacks are continuing across the city. Whatever you did to neutralize Dabi's enhanced flames, we need to apply it to the other league members. Goku nodded. I'll show you and the other pros what to look for. These dimensional enhancements all have weak points, places where the energy flows in. As they prepared to join the broader hero response, Goku turned to the students. You guys head back to UA. For real this time, okay? The pros need to focus on the villains, not worrying about you. What about you? Deku asked. You're not technically a pro either. Goku winked. I've got that provisional license thing now. Besides, his expression turned more serious than they'd ever seen. I understand dimensional energy better than anyone here. If Shiro Kuro is behind these attacks, I need to find him before he does something really dangerous. With that, he placed 2 fingers to his forehead and vanished, leaving the students to face Endeavor's continued disapproval. By evening, the coordinated villain attacks had been contained, though not without significant damage to multiple districts. The hero response, guided by Goku's insights on disrupting dimensional enhancements, had eventually driven back the League of Villains and their associates. At UA, the faculty gathered in an emergency meeting with government officials. The mood was grim as damage reports continued to come in. 37 injured, 15 critically, a public safety official reported. Property damage estimated at 3 billion yen. And most concerning, multiple reports of quirks behaving unpredictably even among civilians not directly involved in the attacks. The dimensional disruptions are spreading, Nizu concluded. Affecting the very nature of quirks themselves. Which is exactly what Shiro Kuro wants, All Might added. His manifesto makes it clear, he sees quirks as artificial constraints on human potential. Gang Orca, who had arrived to represent the Hero Commission, leaned forward. The question is, how do we stop him? If he can enhance villains with this dimensional energy, give them the ability to create micro-rifts. We need to find his base of operations, Aizawa stated. He's building something, a device to permanently bridge dimensions. If he succeeds. Dimensional collapse, the government scientist finished. The fabric of reality itself could unravel. All eyes turned to Goku, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, munching on a rice ball. What? He noticed their stares. Oh, right. Yeah, messing with dimensions is super dangerous. This one time, Zamasu tried to merge with the multiverse and we had to call Zeno to erase the entire timeline. The silence that followed this casual statement was deafening. But that probably won't happen here. Goku added hastily. Shiro isn't nearly as powerful as Zamasu was. Regardless, Nizu steered the conversation back, we need a strategy. Son Goku, you mentioned being able to sense dimensional disturbances. Could you locate where Shiro is working? Goku nodded. I've been trying, but he's masking his energy somehow. I get flashes sometimes, like when he's actively drawing power, but then it disappears. We should focus on the League of Villains, Gang Orca suggested. If they're working with Shiro, finding them could lead us to him. Agreed, Nizu said. In the meantime, we need to prepare for the possibility that we can't stop Shiro before he activates his device. What does that mean? The government official asked. All Might spoke up. It means we need as many heroes as possible with at least basic understanding of key energy. If dimensional barriers are weakening, quirks alone may not be sufficient defense. Are you suggesting we expand Son Goku's training beyond UA students? Gang Orca looked skeptical. I'm suggesting we prepare for a crisis unlike any we've faced before, All Might replied firmly. One that may require new approaches. The debate continued late into the night, strategies proposed and discarded as the severity of the situation became increasingly clear. Through it all, Goku remained strangely thoughtful, occasionally closing his eyes as if sensing something far away. When the meeting finally adjourned, he approached Nizu privately. I felt something during the meeting, Goku said, his usual carefree demeanor subdued. A ripple from my dimension. I think someone's trying to reach through from the other side. Your allies? Nizu asked. Maybe. Bulma saw me during Shiro's portal attempt. She might be trying to establish contact. Goku frowned. But reaching across dimensions takes incredible energy. If she's trying, it means something big is happening on my side too. Could the dimensional disruptions be affecting both worlds simultaneously? Probably. These things tend to spread. Goku sighed. I should try to reach back somehow, let them know. What's going on? How would you do that? I'm not sure. Usually I'd use instant transmission, but I can't lock onto energy signatures across dimensional barriers. Goku's face suddenly lit up. Unless Shiro's device. If he's building something to bridge dimensions, maybe I could use it to send a message. That would require finding him first, Nizu pointed out. Yeah. Goku crossed his arms, thinking hard, something he rarely did. There's got to be a way to track these dimensional flows. Everything's connected somehow. As they discussed possibilities, neither noticed a small drone hovering outside the window, recording their conversation. In his new hideout, a subterranean laboratory beneath an abandoned power plant, Shiro Kuro watched the footage from his drone with intense interest. Contact from the other side, he murmured. Fascinating. His appearance had evolved further since his public appearance. The black and white patterns now flowed continuously across his skin, occasionally revealing patches of other textures, scales, crystal, metal, as if his physical form was sampling different dimensional states. His eyes glowed with energy, one white, one black, both containing swirling galaxies of color. Around him, his dimensional bridge device neared completion. Unlike his previous portable versions, this was massive, a ring-shaped structure 30 feet in diameter, inscribed with intricate patterns and powered by containers of harvested dimensional energy. The League performed admirably, he commented to himself, reviewing footage from the day's attacks. Their enhanced quirks caused precisely the type of chaos needed to mask the final energy harvesting. He turned to a massive container beside his device, filled with swirling, multicolored energy. And now I have enough dimensional particles to stabilize a permanent bridge. A ripple passed through the air near him, a tiny dimensional tear that opened and closed spontaneously. Such rifts had been appearing with increasing frequency around his work area, signs that the barriers between worlds were growing thinner. Shiro reached into one such rift as it formed, pulling out what appeared to be a scientific journal written in an alien language. He added it to a growing collection of artifacts from other dimensions, fruits, devices, weapons, books, all gathered through these spontaneous tears. Soon, he promised, running his hand along the edge of his dimensional bridge. Soon the artificial barriers will fall completely. No more quirk hierarchy. No more heroes dictating who gets to use power and how. He activated a control panel, causing the ring to hum with energy. 3 more components. 3 more harvests from specific dimensional coordinates. On his monitors, footage from UA showed Class 1A training, their key abilities developing rapidly under Goku's guidance. Even UA's students prove my point, Shiro observed. 2 weeks of exposure to dimensional energy, and they're already transcending the limitations of their quirks. He smiled as another spontaneous rift formed, this one lasting several seconds longer than previous ones. The veil is thinning. Right on schedule. Chapter 3, Worlds Collide. Shiro Kuro's fingers danced across holographic controls as the massive dimensional gateway hummed to life. The ring-shaped structure pulsed with otherworldly energy, casting prismatic shadows across his underground laboratory. Perfect, he whispered, his voice echoing strangely as his body shifted between dimensional states. The black and white patterns flowing across his skin had become more fluid, sometimes revealing glimpses of alien textures beneath, crystalline structures, scales, metallic surfaces. He'd spent 3 days making final adjustments after the League of Villains' coordinated attacks provided perfect cover for his last energy harvests. Now, the gateway was ready. Not just a temporary window between worlds like before, but a permanent bridge that would forever alter the fundamental nature of reality. Artificial boundaries falling. Away, Shiro murmured, watching energy readings spike. Liberation from the tyranny of quirk society. Around him, small dimensional rifts opened and closed spontaneously, growing more frequent by the hour. From some, he casually plucked objects, an alien fruit, a strange mechanical component, a crystal that pulsed with internal light, adding them to his collection without breaking concentration. A video feed showed chaos across Muzutafu, quirks misfiring, strange weather phenomena, gravity fluctuations. The dimensional bleed-through was accelerating on its own now, beyond his direct control. Shiro smiled. Just as predicted. He activated the final sequence. The gateways hummed deep into a resonant thrum that vibrated through the concrete floor. Energy arcs leaped between connection points as the ring began spinning, slowly at first, then faster. 3 hours to full activation, he noted with satisfaction. And then, convergence. Goku bolted upright in his UA guest quarters, suddenly wide awake. Something had jolted him from sleep, not a sound or movement, but a disturbance in the energy around him. The air felt wrong, like reality itself was stretched too thin. He focused, extending his senses. The dimensional barriers were deteriorating rapidly now, creating instabilities in the energy flow of this world. But there was something else, a familiar signature pulsing faintly through the dimensional noise. Vegeta? Goku concentrated harder. Yes, somehow, incredibly, he could sense his rival and friend trying to reach across dimensions. Jumping out of bed, Goku threw on his GI and headed for the roof of UA's main building. Outside, the pre-dawn sky looked strange, patches of unnatural color rippling like aurora borealis, except wrong somehow, as if pieces of other skies were bleeding through. On the rooftop, Goku assumed a meditative pose, focusing his ki to create a beacon that might penetrate the dimensional barriers. If Vegeta was searching for him, this would help guide that connection. Minutes passed as Goku concentrated, sweat beading on his forehead from the effort. Then, Kakarot, you idiot. The voice was faint, distorted, but unmistakable. Vegeta. Goku grinned. You can hear me. Barely, you third-class fool. Vegeta's disembodied voice sounded strained, as if shouting across vast distance. What have you done now? Not my fault this time. Some guy named Shiro pulled me into this dimension with a weird machine, and now he's trying to break down all the barriers between worlds. We know. Vegeta's frustration was palpable even through the dimensional static. Your disappearance created a ripple effect. Reality distortions are spreading through multiple dimensions, including ours. Bulma says the entire multiverse could collapse. Goku's expression turned serious. That bad, huh? I've been helping the heroes here deal with Shiro, but he's tricky, keeps jumping between dimensions so we can't catch him. Listen carefully, Kakarot. Vegeta's voice faded in and out. Bulma created a stabilizer to repair the dimensional barriers, but it must be activated simultaneously from both sides of the primary breach. Primary breach? You mean where I came through? No, you fool. Wherever this Shiro is building his device. That's the focal point. Static overwhelmed Vegeta's voice momentarily. Convergence of all realities. If he succeeds. Vegeta. You're breaking up. 3 hours before critical. Bulma will attempt to. The voice faded entirely, leaving only the whistling wind and the increasingly strange sky. Goku stood, determination replacing his usual carefree expression. 3 hours until some kind of critical point. He needed to find Shiro's hideout, and fast. He placed 2 fingers to his forehead, preparing for instant transmission, but hesitated. Without a clear energy signature to lock onto, he risked materializing inside solid matter. Instead, he flew down to the faculty dormitory, landing directly outside Aizawa's window. Hey! Eraser guy! Wake up! Goku tapped insistently on the glass. A bleary-eyed, irritated Aizawa eventually appeared, sliding the window open. What? Emergency! We need to find Shiro right now. We've got less than 3 hours before something really bad happens. To his credit, Aizawa didn't waste time questioning. He simply nodded and reached for his phone. I'll alert the others. Meet in the conference room in 10 minutes. Deku couldn't sleep. He stood at his dorm room window, watching the strange colors ripple across the pre-dawn sky. Something was happening, something big. The air felt charged, like before a thunderstorm, but different. Heavier somehow. His phone buzzed with an incoming message. Then another. And another. The Class 1A group chat was exploding with activity as his classmates noticed the phenomena outside. Everyone was awake, posting photos of the strange sky and reporting odd sensations. Bakugo, anyone else feel like gravity's messed up? I just jumped and nearly hit the ceiling. Uraraka, it's not me. My quirk isn't activated. Todoroki, the temperature keeps fluctuating in my room. Hot then cold, without me using my quirk. Deku frowned, typing quickly. Deku, the dimensional barriers must be weakening further. Everyone meet in the common area. Now. By the time he arrived downstairs, most of his classmates were already gathered, still in pajamas or hastily thrown on clothes. All looked concerned. Look at that. Kaminari pointed out the window, where a small object, what looked like a strange bird with 6 wings and iridescent scales, flew past before vanishing into thin air. Things are bleeding through from other dimensions, Deku explained. Random objects, energy patterns, maybe even altered physics. What do we do? Uraraka asked, hugging herself as gravity in the room briefly fluctuated, causing everyone to feel momentarily lighter. Bakugo slammed his fist into his palm. What do you think? We find Shiro and stop him. The teachers are probably all ready, Ida began. The common room door burst open as Goku rushed in, followed by Aizawa. Oh good, you're all up. Goku looked around the room. We've got a serious problem. My friend Vegeta contacted me from my dimension. We've got less than 3 hours before something called a dimensional convergence happens. Dimensional convergence. Deku repeated, mind racing. Like a forced merger of multiple realities. Something like that, Goku nodded. Sounds bad, whatever it is. It would be catastrophic, Aizawa stated flatly. Reality as we know it would cease to function predictably. Quirks, physics, possibly even time itself would be affected. Then we need to stop it, Bakugo said, standing up. Where's Shiro? That's the problem, Goku admitted. I can't get a lock on his energy signature. He's masking it somehow. Deku's analytical mind kicked into overdrive. If we can't track Shiro directly, maybe we can track the dimensional disturbances. The epicenter would be where his device is located. The support department has been monitoring anomalies, Aizawa confirmed. But they're appearing randomly across the city. Not randomly, Todoroki spoke up. There must be a pattern, a gradient showing higher concentration near the source. Deku nodded excitedly. Exactly. If we map the frequency and intensity of the anomalies, we could triangulate Shiro's location. Goku grinned. I knew you kids were smart. That's definitely better than my plan of just flying around looking for weird energy. Aizawa activated his comm device. I'll contact Power Loader and have him send the data immediately. The rest of the faculty is mobilizing, along with available pro-heroes. What about us? Kirishima asked, already pulling on his hero costume. We've been training for this. Aizawa looked at the determined faces of Class 1A, then at Goku, who nodded slightly. Your key training gives you unique advantages against dimensional anomalies, Aizawa conceded. But you will follow orders exactly. This isn't a training exercise, reality itself is at stake. We understand, Deku spoke for the group. What's the plan? First, we find Shiro, Aizawa said grimly. Then we shut down his device, whatever it takes. Within 30 minutes, UA's command center was fully operational. Power Loader and Nizu worked furiously at the main console, processing data from sensors across the city. Heroes arrived continuously, gathering in groups as they were briefed on the situation. All Might, in his powered-down form but standing straighter than usual thanks to his key training, approached Deku and Goku. Young Midoriya, how are you feeling? Ready, All Might, Deku answered confidently. The key training has helped my control over One for All. I can maintain 15% consistently now, with bursts up to 20%. All Might nodded approvingly. Excellent progress. He turned to Goku. Son Goku, what more can you tell us about this convergence your friend mentioned? Not much, Goku admitted. But I've seen enough dimensional stuff to know it's never good when realities start merging. Usually ends with universal destruction, timeline erasure, that kind of thing. All Might blinked at the casual mention of universal destruction. I see. We've got it. Power Loader suddenly called out. The anomaly pattern forms a clear gradient, with the highest concentration centered on the old Muzutafu power plant. A holographic map appeared, showing pulsing dots representing dimensional anomalies. They clustered increasingly densely around an abandoned industrial complex at the city's edge. That facility was decommissioned years ago, Nizu explained. Perfect cover for Shiro's operation, isolated, hardened infrastructure, abundant power access. The underground levels are extensive, Power Loader added, pulling up schematics. Including a particle acceleration chamber that could be repurposed for dimensional experiments. Goku studied the map. That's gotta be it. I can sense a lot of disturbances in that direction now that I'm focusing on it. We'll need a coordinated approach, Aizawa said. The facility has multiple access points. We'll form teams to secure each one. I should go straight for Shiro, Goku suggested. I know the most about dimensional energy, and I can use instant transmission once I'm close enough to sense him. Nizu nodded. Agreed. But you'll need backup. Dimensional phasing makes Shiro extremely difficult to engage directly. I volunteer, Deku stepped forward. My analytical skills might help identify weaknesses in his dimensional abilities. Me too, Bakugo joined him, small explosions crackling in his palms. I've got the best offensive capabilities with my ki-enhanced explosions. I'll join as well, Todoroki added calmly. My temperature control could be useful against energy fluctuations. Aizawa considered this, then nodded. The three of you will accompany Son Goku to locate and confront Shiro directly. The rest of Class 1A will support the perimeter teams in containing dimensional anomalies and evacuating civilians from the affected area. As everyone prepared to move out, Goku pulled Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki aside. This is gonna be tougher than anything you've faced, he told them seriously. Shiro's not just strong, he's tapping into powers from multiple dimensions. We need to work together, okay? We know how to fight, Spiky, Bakugo growled, though without his usual hostility. Fighting's not the issue, Goku replied. Shiro can phase between dimensions, absorb energy, maybe even redirect it. Normal attacks won't work. Then what will? Todoroki asked. Goku grinned. We improvise. That's the fun part. Deku couldn't help smiling at Goku's enthusiasm despite the dire situation. In the past 2 weeks, he'd come to understand the Scion's perspective. Fighting wasn't just about violence for him, but a form of problem-solving, a way to push boundaries and discover new possibilities. Let's go save reality, Deku said with newfound confidence. Musudafu power plant loomed against the increasingly bizarre sky, its abandoned cooling towers and turbine halls eerily silent. The dimensional disturbances grew stronger as the heroes approached, gravity fluctuated unpredictably, strange lights flickered in and out of existence, and occasionally objects or creatures from other realities would briefly appear before vanishing again. From their position on a nearby hill, Goku and his team observed the facility. Pro-heroes had formed a perimeter, with Class 1A students supporting evacuation efforts in surrounding neighborhoods. The main anomaly readings are coming from underground, Deku noted, checking the scanner power loader had provided. Probably the old particle accelerator chamber. Goku nodded, eyes closed in concentration. I can feel it now, massive energy, similar to what pulled me through dimensions in the first place, but way stronger. How do we get in? Todoroki asked, scanning for entry points. There. Bakugo pointed to a maintenance access door on the east side. Minimal security, straight shot to the lower levels. Good eye, Goku approved. Let's move. They made their way down the hill, staying low to avoid detection. As they approached the facility grounds, reality became increasingly unstable. Patches of ground would momentarily transform into different materials, ice, crystal, molten rock, before returning to normal. The dimensional bleeding is accelerating, Deku observed. We must be close to the critical point Vegeta warned about. At the maintenance door, Bakugo placed his palm against the lock. With precise control, something he wouldn't have managed before key training, he created a tiny, focused explosion that sheared the mechanism without making much noise. Nice. Goku whispered. Perfect key control. Inside, emergency lights cast a dim red glow over abandoned corridors. They moved quickly through the facility, following the increasing energy disturbances. Dimensional rifts appeared more frequently here, small tears in reality that opened and closed spontaneously. Don't touch those, Goku warned as Deku reached curiously toward one. You could get pulled into another dimension. They descended several levels via a maintenance stairwell. With each floor, the air grew thicker with energy, making it difficult to breathe normally. We're getting close, Todoroki said, frost forming involuntarily on his right side while his left smoldered. Finally, they reached a massive blast door leading to the particle accelerator chamber. Unlike the rest of the facility, this door showed signs of recent modification, new security systems, power conduits, and strange symbols etched into its surface. How do we get through this? Deku wondered aloud. Goku placed his hand on the door, focusing. I can sense what's on the other side now. Stand back. He placed 2 fingers to his forehead and vanished. Seconds later, the door slid open from the inside. Whoa, Bakugo muttered, genuinely impressed. They entered a vast circular chamber dominated by Shiro's dimensional gateway, a massive ring structure 30 feet in diameter, spinning rapidly and pulsing with multicolored energy. Surrounding it were containers of harvested dimensional particles, computer systems, and various artifacts from other realities. And there, at a central control platform, stood Shiro Kuro himself. His transformation had progressed further, his body now in constant flux between dimensional states. Patches of his form would shift from human to crystalline to energy and back again. His eyes burned with power, one white, one black, both containing swirling galaxies. "Welcome," he called, voice echoing strangely as if coming from multiple points in space simultaneously. "Right on schedule. Shiro." Goku stepped forward. "You need to shut this thing down. You're causing dimensional collapse across multiple realities." "Not causing, liberating." Shiro corrected, his smile revealing teeth that momentarily transformed into something alien before returning to normal. "Breaking artificial barriers. Don't you see, Son Goku? In your world, everyone can access key energy. In this world, only those born with quirks have power. I'm erasing that inequality. By destroying reality?" Todoroki asked coldly. "Reshaping it," Shiro countered. "Convergence isn't destruction, it's evolution. When the dimensional barriers fall completely, energy will flow freely between all realities. No more quirk hierarchy. No more limits." Deku studied the gateway, mind racing. "How many dimensions are you connecting?" "All of them," Shiro said simply. "Every reality that exists, has existed, or could exist, flowing into one perfect union." "That's insane!" Bakugo shouted. "You can't just mash realities together. The conflicts in physical laws alone would tear everything apart." Shiro looked genuinely surprised at Bakugo's insight. An unexpected observation from UA's most aggressive student. "But you're thinking linearly. In convergence, contradictions don't destroy, they create new possibilities." "Enough talk," Goku interrupted, dropping into a fighting stance. "We're shutting this down." Shiro sighed. "I expected better from you, Scion. Of all people, you should understand the desire to transcend limitations." "I'm all for getting stronger," Goku replied. "But not by endangering innocent people across multiple dimensions." "Very well." Shiro raised his hands, dimensional energy swirling around them. "Let's see how your ki fares against power drawn from infinite realities." Goku launched forward with blinding speed, aiming a punch directly at Shiro, who simply phased out of existence, the attack passing harmlessly through where he'd been standing. He reappeared 3 feet to the left, smiling. "Dimensional phasing," he reminded them. "You can't touch me unless I allow it." "We'll see about that." Bakugo unleashed a massive explosion, ki enhanced for precision and power. To everyone's shock, Shiro didn't phase away, instead, he opened a small dimensional rift that absorbed the explosion completely. "Dimensional redirection," Shiro explained, opening another rift behind Bakugo. His own explosion erupted from it, catching him off guard and sending him flying across the chamber. Kaken. Deku activated One for All, green lightning harmonizing with his ki aura as he charged forward. Todoroki simultaneously launched his most precise attack, a focused stream of alternating fire and ice, enhanced by ki control to maintain separation between the opposing elements. Shiro opened multiple rifts, absorbing both attacks. Fascinating applications of ki. You've learned quickly, UA students. He redirected the absorbed energy, sending Todoroki's fire and ice back at Deku, while channeling Deku's One for All energy toward Todoroki. Both students barely managed to dodge. "He's using our attacks against each other." Deku called out, helping Todoroki to his feet. Not just redirecting, enhancing them, Todoroki observed, noting how his redirected ice had formed crystalline structures unlike anything his quirk normally produced. Goku hadn't given up. He teleported repeatedly around Shiro, attacking from different angles, trying to catch him between phases. But Shiro's control had become too refined, he shifted between dimensional states with perfect timing. "You're powerful, Son Goku," Shiro acknowledged, effortlessly avoiding another strike. "But in this space, between dimensions, I have the advantage." "Maybe," Goku grinned, suddenly backing away. "But I noticed something." He cupped his hands at his side, blue energy gathering between them. "Ka. Me. The Kamehameha?" Shiro looked amused. "I've already seen this technique. I can absorb it easily." "Ha. Me." Shiro opened a larger rift, preparing to capture the energy blast. HAA. The massive beam shot forward, directly toward Shiro's dimensional rift. As predicted, the rift absorbed it completely. "Predictable," Shiro said dismissively. "Was it?" Goku's grin widened. The rift absorbing the Kamehameha suddenly bulged outward, as if struggling to contain the energy. Shiro's confident expression faltered. "What?" "I figured it out during our last fight," Goku explained. "Your rifts have capacity limits. And the more energy they absorb, the longer they have to stay open." The rift finally burst, unable to contain the sustained Kamehameha. Energy exploded outward, catching Shiro mid-phase and disrupting his dimensional shifting. He staggered, momentarily solid and vulnerable. "Now!" Goku shouted. Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki didn't hesitate. They launched a coordinated attack, Bakugo's explosion propelling Deku forward at tremendous speed, one for all activated to maximum safe output, while Todoroki created a focused path of ice to guide Deku's trajectory. Deku's fist connected solidly with Shiro's chest, right where his dimensional regulator was implanted. The device cracked under the impact, sparking violently. Shiro screamed, his form fluctuating wildly as dimensional energy poured from the damaged regulator. "What have you done?" "Identified your weakness," Deku answered, landing in a crouch. "Your dimensional phasing relies on that regulator maintaining your quantum state." Shiro clutched at his chest, trying to stabilize the device. "Clever boy." But too late. He staggered to the gateway controls, slamming his palm onto the activation sequence. The massive ring accelerated its rotation, energy arcs intensifying as it reached critical speed. "Convergence initiated," Shiro announced triumphantly despite his damaged state. "Dimensional barriers collapsing. Nothing can stop it now." The chamber shook violently as reality itself began to warp. Multiple rifts opened throughout the room, each showing glimpses of different dimensions. Through one, they could see a peaceful-looking world with a green sky and multiple suns. Through another, a technological metropolis unlike anything on their Earth. Through a third, what appeared to be Capsule Corporation, Goku's world. "We need to shut it down," Deku shouted over the increasing roar of the gateway. "The controls are locked." Todoroki called back, examining the console. "And the energy flow is self-sustaining now." Goku focused intently on the rift showing Capsule Corporation. "Wait, I can sense Bulma. She's doing something on the other side." Indeed, through the rift, they could see the blue-haired scientist working frantically at a similar device, assisted by a scowling man with flame-like hair. "Vegeta!" Goku called out. "Can you hear me?" The spiky-haired man looked up, eyes widening as he spotted Goku. "Kakarot. The stabilizer is ready. But we need to synchronize the disruption from both sides." "What does that mean?" Bakugo demanded. "It means someone needs to be on each side of the primary dimensional breach to activate the stabilizers simultaneously," Deku realized, his analytical mind quickly grasping the concept. "I'll go," Goku said immediately. I can coordinate with Bulma and Vegeta to seal the breach. But how will you get back? Todoroki asked. Goku's expression turned serious. I won't. Once the breach is sealed, dimensional travel won't be possible without risking another collapse. No way. Bakugo protested. We're not letting you sacrifice yourself. It's not a sacrifice, Goku smiled. I'll be going home. The gateway's energy reached critical levels, the entire facility now shaking apart as reality buckled under the strain of forced convergence. Other rifts throughout the chamber grew larger, threatening to merge completely. We don't have time to argue. Goku shouted over the chaos. Deku, you need to activate the stabilizer on this side once I'm through. He pointed to a device near the console, clearly not part of Shiro's original design. Bulma must have sent the plans through a smaller rift earlier. Power Loader built it without knowing exactly what it was for. Deku examined the stabilizer. But how will I know when to activate it? You'll feel it. Goku assured him. Trust your key sense. Before they could protest further, Shiro launched himself at the stabilizer. No. You won't undo my work. Despite his damaged regulator, he still possessed tremendous power. Dimensional energy swirled around him as he prepared to destroy the stabilizer. Goku intercepted him mid-lunge, grappling with the dimensional alchemist. Kids. Handle the stabilizer. I've got Shiro. The two powerful beings struggled, their energies clashing violently. Shiro opened rifts trying to redirect Goku's attacks, but the Saiyan had learned his patterns now, adjusting his fighting style to account for the dimensional phasing. You don't understand what you're preventing. Shiro shouted as they fought. I'm offering freedom from biological destiny. No more quirkless underclass. No more rigid hero hierarchy. Maybe your goals aren't wrong, Goku acknowledged, dodging an energy blast, but your methods are destroying the multiverse. There are better ways to help people get stronger. Their battle intensified as the convergence approached critical mass. Reality around them became increasingly unstable, gravity fluctuated wildly, objects phased in and out of existence, and the very air seemed to ripple with dimensional stress. Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki positioned themselves around the stabilizer, protecting it while preparing for activation. What about Shiro? Todoroki asked, casting concerned glances at the battle. Goku will handle him, Deku said with confidence. We need to focus on the stabilizer. Through the rift to Capsule Corporation, they could see Bulma making final adjustments to her device while Vegeta stood guard. Other figures had joined them, a young man with lavender hair, an older man with a white beard, and what appeared to be a tall green alien. The gateway's rotation reached maximum velocity, energy discharges lashing throughout the chamber. Reality itself seemed to be folding inward, the boundaries between dimensions becoming transparent. It's time. Goku called, momentarily gaining the upper hand against Shiro. With a powerful ki-enhanced strike, he sent the dimensional alchemist crashing into a wall. Goku turned to the three students, his expression uncharacteristically solemn. You guys have been amazing students. Keep training, okay? Ki isn't just about fighting, it's about understanding yourself and your connection to everything around you. Goku. Deku began, fighting back tears. Tell All Might and the others thanks for everything, Goku continued with a smile. And Deku, you've got what it takes to be the greatest hero. Just remember what I taught you about making one for all truly part of yourself. With those parting words, Goku turned and leaped through the rift to his home dimension. The moment he passed through, Bulma activated her stabilizer. Now, DKU. Vegeta's voice bellowed through the rift. Deku slammed his hand onto the activation switch. The stabilizer hummed to life, emitting a pulse of energy that intersected with the one from Bulma's device. Where they met at the dimensional boundary, a reaction occurred, energy patterns realigning, reality itself reasserting its proper structure. The gateway's spin began to slow, its energy discharges diminishing. One by one, the random rifts throughout the chamber closed, reality stabilizing around them. No! Shiro screamed, staggering to his feet. My convergence! My new world! He lunged at the stabilizer, but Bakugo intercepted him with a precisely controlled explosion. It's over, freak! Todoroki followed up with ice encasement, immobilizing Shiro's lower body. Your device is shutting down. The dimensional barriers are reforming. Shiro struggled against his restraints, his body still shifting between dimensional states but with decreasing intensity as the gateway powered down. You fools! You've condemned this world to its rigid hierarchy. Its artificial limitations. No, Deku said firmly, stepping forward. We saved it from destruction. But that doesn't mean things can't change. He looked at Shiro with unexpected empathy. I understand wanting to help people who weren't born with power. I was quirkless once. But forcing dimensional convergence wasn't the answer. Then what is? Shiro demanded, his voice losing its otherworldly resonance as his connection to dimensional energy faded. Deku gestured to Bakugo and Todoroki. We learned to use ki, energy that exists in everyone, quirk or quirkless. That knowledge doesn't have to die with Goku's departure. The gateway finally powered down completely, the rift to Goku's world shrinking rapidly. In the final moments before it closed, they saw Goku standing with his friends and family, waving goodbye with his characteristic grin. Then the rift sealed, leaving only the silent chamber and Shiro's dormant device. It's over, Todoroki said quietly. Bakugo nodded, uncharacteristically subdued. Yeah. Deku stared at where the rift had been, a mix of emotions washing over him, sadness at Goku's departure, relief at averting catastrophe, and determination to honor what they'd learned. No, he said firmly. It's just beginning. News of Shiro's defeat and the dimensional stabilization spread quickly. Heroes and emergency services worked to address the aftermath, structural damage from reality fluctuations, injuries from anomalies, and the psychological impact on citizens who'd witnessed impossible things. At UA, Class 1A gathered in a common area, processing everything that had happened. The mood was complex, pride in their role stopping Shiro, sadness at Goku's departure, and uncertainty about what came next. It's weird, Kaminari said, generating small electrical discharges that now carried a distinct ki enhancement. 2 weeks ago, we didn't even know other dimensions existed, or that we could use ki energy. And now we're never going to look at our quirks the same way again, Uraraka added, demonstrating her improved control by making a pencil float in complex patterns without touching it. Aizawa entered the room, accompanied by All Might, Nizu, and several other teachers. You all performed admirably today, Nizu began. Thanks to your efforts and Son Goku's sacrifice, or rather, return home, dimensional stability has been restored. What about Shiro? Todoroki asked. Contained in a specialized facility, Aizawa answered. His connection to dimensional energy has been mostly severed, but he still exhibits some unusual abilities. A research team is studying him under strict protocols. And his theories? Deku pressed. About quirks being artificial limitations? The teachers exchanged looks. That's complicated, All Might admitted. The data gathered during this crisis suggests there may be some validity to his core hypothesis, that quirks represent a structured channeling of energy that naturally exists in all living beings. In other words, Nizu elaborated, what Son Goku called ki may indeed be a more fundamental energy that predates quirks in the evolutionary timeline. The implications weren't lost on anyone, especially Deku. If ki truly existed in everyone, then the distinction between quirked and quirkless might be less significant than society had always assumed. So what happens now? Bakugo demanded. We just forget everything we learned. Go back to standard hero training. Quite the opposite, Nizu smiled. The Hero Public Safety Commission has authorized a new training program, one that incorporates the key techniques Son Goku taught you. You'll be the first class to formally study this approach. Excitement rippled through the room. Additionally, All Might added, I'll be continuing as an instructor, focusing specifically on ki enhancement methods. He briefly bulked up to his hero form, maintaining it with noticeably less strain than before. Son Goku's training has helped me extend my time limit somewhat. And what about people without quirks? Deku asked the question that mattered most to him. If ki exists in everyone. That research is ongoing, Nizu answered carefully. But preliminary findings suggest that, yes, individuals classified as quirkless may be able to develop ki abilities with proper training. It could revolutionize how we understand human potential in our society. The implications were enormous, a potential shift in the very foundation of their quirk-based society. Not the forced convergence Shiro had attempted, but perhaps a more natural evolution. As the teachers left to attend to other post-crisis matters, Class 1A remained, discussing everything they'd experienced and learned. Deku found himself standing by the window, looking up at the now normal sky. Bakugo joined him, arms crossed. You thinking about Spiky? Deku nodded. I wonder how he's doing back in his world. Probably fighting some god or whatever, Bakugo snorted, but without malice. Guy was crazy strong. Yeah, Deku smiled. But what impressed me most wasn't his strength, it was how he approached it. No limits, no categories. Just constant growth. Not a bad philosophy, Bakugo admitted grudgingly. For a martial artist from another dimension. Deku laughed, then grew serious again. We have a responsibility now. To share what we learned. To help others understand ki. You thinking about starting a dojo or something? Bakugo raised an eyebrow. Maybe someday, Deku replied. After we become pro-heroes. Bakugo scoffed. In that case, I'll start my own. And it'll be way better than yours. Their friendly rivalry, transformed by shared experience, felt different now, less bitter, more pushing each other toward growth. Another of Goku's lasting impacts. As evening fell, Deku went to the training ground alone. He sat cross-legged in the center, assuming the meditation pose Goku had taught them. Closing his eyes, he focused on his energy, the familiar crackling power of one for all, but now also the steady warmth of ki flowing beneath it. For a moment, as he reached the deepest state of concentration, he thought he felt something, a faint echo from across dimensions, a familiar energy signature. Then it was gone, leaving only the quiet night and the stars above. Deku smiled. Wherever Goku was, whatever adventures he was having, the connection they'd formed transcended dimensional barriers. Not in a world-threatening way like Shiro had attempted, but in the subtle, profound way that meaningful relationships always persist. He stood, assuming a fighting stance, and began practicing the forms Goku had taught them, movements that channeled ki naturally through the body. One for all flowed with it harmoniously now, no longer fighting his control but working with it. As he trained under the stars, Deku knew that while Son Goku had returned to his own dimension, his impact on their world was just beginning. The barriers between quirks and ki, between the powered and the powerless, between fighters and heroes, all were starting to dissolve in a way that didn't threaten reality, but expanded it. And that, perhaps, was Goku's greatest gift to them, not just strength, but the understanding that boundaries exist to be surpassed, that potential knows no limits, and that the greatest power comes not from isolation, but from connection. In another dimension, at Capsule Corporation, Goku stuffed his face with food while his friends and family gathered around, still processing his sudden return and the dimensional crisis they'd narrowly averted. So they're actually learning to use ki now? Bulma asked, fascinated. In a world that developed these quirk things instead? Yep. Goku mumbled through a mouthful of rice. They're really good at it. Too. Especially this kid Deku, he reminds me of Gohan. Super smart, huge potential. Humph, Vegeta crossed his arms. I still don't understand how you managed to cause a multiversal crisis just by disappearing for 2 weeks. I didn't cause it. Goku protested. That Shiro guy did. I was just trying to help. Dimensional boundaries are remarkably fragile, Bulma mused, examining data from her stabilizer. The energy patterns suggest that once breached, they continue deteriorating unless properly resealed. Whatever, Goku shrugged, reaching for more food. The important thing is everyone's safe, and I got to teach some really cool students. They're gonna be amazing heroes. As the conversation continued, no one noticed the small dimensional ripple that briefly formed in the corner of the room, a tiny, harmless connection between worlds that opened for just a moment before closing again. Such minor fluctuations would continue occasionally, too small to threaten dimensional stability but just enough to maintain a tenuous link between realities. Perhaps someday, when both worlds were ready, that link might be safely explored again. Until then, the legacy of a Scion's unexpected visit to a world of heroes would continue to grow, rippling outward in ways neither dimension could fully predict, much like Goku himself, defying limitations and finding connections where others saw only boundaries. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.